shack at. The bottles getting nifty up the crack and we stacking chips. All of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced. Leave the juice letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday, July 7th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. You know, I was pretty confident in that CFL game, and I think that was the hardest football game I've ever had to watch in my life. And, you know, for me, losing $500, you know, it sucks, but, you know, whatever. But I know so many of my friends tailed me, and that, you know, that felt like just a fucking punch in the gut. And, you know, the first opening drive, Edmonton takes it down the field very easily, misses a field goal. The kicker misses his first field goal of the season. Then the Riders take it all the way down the field with ease and get stuck on the goal line. Still at that point, I was like, look, they're moving the ball so easily. And then in the next 10 minutes, there was 2 touchdowns called back and another missed field goal. And I was just, you know, I was just fucking livid. So, you know, it's just, I apologize. I know a lot of people tailed it, and it really, 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 really bothered me. The fucking Rouge after goddamn Rouge. Jesus, it died. Like, I just been filled with anger, you know, watching that game. So, you know, Bobano is joining the show today. On week 3, I went 5-0, and he went 2-1 on this show. In CFL, I hope to recreate that. Yesterday's baseball, the exact same situation as the day before. We go 3-4. Yesterday we went 2-3, and both times, you know, we're 1 strike away from a win, and it gets taken out of our grasps. You know, the Chicago Cubs, Milwaukee, first 5 under 4. It was 1-0, 2 out, and then Stroman feels like a pitch he threw, a borderline pitch that was probably a ball, should have been called a strike, and he just breaks down. Also, the White Sox first 5, I told you guys that Lance Lynn was going to completely shut down the Jays. The mistake I made was that the Blue Jays pitchers have been screaming out for an extra day's rest. Bassett's been really upset with the 4-man rotation. And, of course, I was talking about how, you know, it was pretty clear that Barrios was dealing with some fatigue. Obviously, that extra day of rest helped him. You could tell immediately that he was shoving. So that White Sox first 5 at plus money pushed. Phillies plus 120. The gift from our friend TJ. He sent us another one, a cash to plus 120. The Diamondbacks was an atrocity. And, you know, Pittsburgh Dodgers, Urias shoved. And I lost the first 3 under 2.5. I cashed the first 5 under 4.5. The full game cashed the under. And so, you know, I'm angry. It's been a winning week, so I shouldn't be filled with such rage. But I am filled with rage. Bobano will be rolling with us, and I've only made 2 bets today. I think this card is fucking littered with opportunities for us to cash. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. Viper MB in the house. KC Cleveland over 8.5. Cincinnati Milwaukee first 3 under 2.5 and first 5 under 4. I'm right there with you. I got the 4.5 though last night. Those are the only 2 bets I've made. Cincinnati Milwaukee unders. I came close to the Wheeler Alcantara unders, the same sort of bets, and I wanted to talk it out first. Angels first 5 money line and full game money line. I love that. I love you fading Gonsolin. I'm a little hesitant to trust Canning, but if you're doing it, I may join you. That's our guy Viper NB here off of the top of the show. Let's copy and paste that right there. Andrew G says the Rouge strikes again. Oh, God. I mean, just the debacle at the end of the game by Sims. I mean, it's just, how do you play in the league and you don't know the rules of it? And that, look, the Rouge is a ridiculous rule, but for him to saunter back to get the ball with no pressure, wasn't he watching the game? Didn't he see the scoreboard going up at a point at a time? Rouge after rouge after rouge. Fuck is Sims doing? Chris Jones handling it so well. Dude, if my dad was the coach of that team, he would have beat the shit out of Sims after the game. That's what he would have done in front of all the players. Held him down and kept punching. That's what. All right. Crypto-ish JW. Jacqueline in the house. Billy Friedrich JW. LJ from H-Town is on the Astros -1. Our guy LJ moving on the Astros -1. Oh, God, that football game. It's the worst football game I've ever watched in my life. It's the angriest I've ever been watching a football game. It just made me crave the NFL, and I'm a CFL supporter. We got J. Rowe, B. Dub, Spenny, Penny Bombs, Nasty Nate. Love seeing your Red Sox smash last night. Mike M. says, time to go to work. What a capper our guy Mike M. is. What a capper. This guy eats, man. Jose Ramirez, RBI last night in the Guardian 6-1 victory. It's wild. 12-10 is the ribeye play of the day on our show. 12-10 plus 10.05 units. Unbelievable. What a guy. Slatsy says Book's really holding back on Manoa props. No pitcher walks or outs on my friend Alex. Your friend Alex Slatsy. So far, the only bet is Tigers first 3 money line -105. Says Jays have to be gassed. Well, we will talk a lot about that game today. Danny Lopez, JT Eel, AOD in the house. What up, AOD? Walla Dose. Charlie Chips. Joe Yurkovich, Vitalis. Robert Franklin had the under 44.5. Well, you didn't lose that. What do you mean? You cashed that. There was 23 points scored in that game, Robert, my man. Oh, what the fuck the way to lose? Okay, so yeah, sorry, I get it. You talking about the way the Elks lost. No, I feel it. Justin McElvey, Guillermo Zertucci, thank you. G. Rocco Rogers says, coming off another great day with the O's, Phillies, Cleveland, Dodgers run lines. I plan to be at Los Alamitos racetrack on Saturday, July 15th. Los Alamitos. We want to do a little LA low bag, some of the champions you guys want to run through and hang out. I think it starts at 2 p.m. Pacific. It's Thoroughbreds. Los Alamitos. I will be there. Hollywood, California. I didn't realize that track was just built in 2014. I'm really excited to cross the track off my list of tracks I've never been to. And actually, it looks a lot better than I remember it. I guess when the quarter horses are racing, I'm usually heavily intoxicated. And I'm just betting the outside posts like a drunken buffoon. Looks pretty good. Billy Friedrich says all the Lance Lynn haters can eat crow. There's Tease in the house. Says, good morning, Lowbag fam. Friday, payday. All right. Tease says the D-backs are hoes. Okay, all right. It feels good to smile. Charlie Chip says, fuck it, dude. Try being homeless. No, I feel that. I feel that. Although I think I was capping with a better edge when I lived in the hood. Saturated says he bets better angry. I hope that's the case for me too. There's Ray Charles in the house. DJ 100 grand. Toronto Blue Jays under 5, first 5. There we go. DJ 100 grand, believing in our friend Alec Manoa. Wow. DJ 100 grand, believing in our friend Alec Manoa. That puts a smile on my face. Sammy Comer moving on. Tiafo moneyline tomorrow morning. Tiafo moneyline. Oh no, Bankroll Spence says Edmonton, Saskatchewan was the first CFL game I watched completely. Oh man, that breaks my heart, Bankroll Spence. That was a rouge, man. If you down the ball in your end zone, if the punt or a field goal goes, out of the end zone. It's a rouge. I'm so sorry. That was the first game you ever watched. That breaks my heart that you had to watch that fucking debacle. Mr. Reed says, let's get to work here. Bobano is ready to rock with us. Piker says, let's fade Mano's return with sharp plus money spot on Detroit today. Vincent Ramirez, Brian Watson, a great group. Londo. T says the Elks get the cover with a TD, a field goal, and 5 singles. There's Osby, Vitalis. What are your thoughts on the Reds today? I can't wait to talk about the Reds game. Joe Yurkovich, Cards, Marlins, first 5 under, cashed. All right. Let's get to work. Mickey Cohen in the house. Professor Chris ready to get to work. We got Sky Dragon. Nice to see you, DG. Stimmy OG. Yeah, Stimmy, I saw how you lost Edmonton money line. That was just awful. Billy Fierce is probably the first and the last game he watches. All right. And Sky Dragon says he's only been to Los Alamitos for quarters. Yeah, I'm looking forward to cross it off. So if anybody wants to run, that is Saturday, July 15th. I'll have a party there. Okay. Piker says that was smart what Blood Boob said about the Red Sox series price in relation to yesterday's game. Says I feel like we could benefit from now and know what the series opening odds are when we're looking at games. I think you're absolutely right. And Professor Chris says bet the Orioles every day. That, obviously I felt like the market, I'd missed the market move and didn't want to reach at that. But I was so livid yesterday morning when I woke up and saw the move had happened. All right, let's get to work. See if Bobano can turn my energy around. Mike M says, how about them Cardinals? Now a 16-0 spot. That was beautiful. And spreadsheet play of the day is in from Ron Crawford. I almost bet that. I came so close to betting it. Very, very, very close to betting it. Maybe this will push me in that direction. Chili Dog Dooley hit the Phillies alive and extras at plus 335. There's Tone Miggins in the house. What up, Tone? All right, let's get this spreadsheet play today. That's going to be a fun game. I've got Padres asterisk right here, but I have not bet it. Stacks play of the day. Look at this. Look at this. We had a capper one time tell us if the bet didn't hit, we would never see them again. Remember, I forget. What was his name? Jose will remember. God, why can't... we have seen him again. Just not in a while. And his bet cashed. And look at this. Stacks play today says $50 dono tomorrow if this doesn't hit. Devers RBI. No, it wasn't Barry. Wasn't Barry Billy. But I think Barry brings the best out of Jose. Jose had a great day yesterday. But, I don't like the negativity, obviously. But, we have rules here. We don't ban people just because of negativity. All right, I got to shake off this livid anger that I have. God. Mike M says there's no show tomorrow. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. There's Jose's show tomorrow. It's perfect spot. Sabino. Angora. Yes, Sabino. Thank you, Stimmy. Yes, of course it was Sabino. Thank you. I love Sabino. All right, so what am I doing? I had Devers RBI here for the Red Sox A's game against Luis Medina. All right, let's get to work. Flyweight Mike says today's a new day. Yes. Ryan Nelson, bad pitcher. He says, why would you bet them yesterday? Maybe the over. You are so good, Rants, the day after baseball games. It's almost as if you watch them and then talk about them. Let's bring on your first guest of the show, the star of our Friday shows here on Betting with the Bag. Please welcome from Canada's black and yellow, Canada's steel town, Ian Cameron to the show. Bobano, how are you, my friend?
It's good to be with you, Jimmy. What's going on? And let's get the mood up. Let's get the excitement. Let's get the smiles going for you and everyone.
Yeah, it was just that game was just I was pretty confident on that over. I live bet it to I had 250 on each first half full game, and I live bet it after the goal line stand. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. the 2 touchdowns callback. I was just, sometimes, when it rains, it pours, and handicapping sports can be a cruel mistress, and she was very cruel yesterday. What did do you want to talk even about that horrific?
Well, I had the over too, but at least I split on that game. I went 1-1. Is I also had Edmonton plus the points because I just didn't trust Saskatchewan laying that much off a bye week, and haven't played them already. And sure enough, they were flat for the whole game. And that was actually not Saskatchewan winning the game. That was pretty much Edmonton giving the game away, like they've done so many times in the past. And that's a tough one to bounce back from. Now you're 0-5. You found a way to lose that terrible decision, and that's coaching. I don't even blame Sims as much as I blame the coaching staff. You've got to communicate to everybody on that kickoff when it's 11-11 there that if this ball is in the end zone, you run that shit out. You cannot take a single point in that situation, and that obviously was not communicated to the kid, because you see this camera shot after that occurred where Jones is talking to him and saying, this is what should have happened. No, you tell that kid before it happens so you avoid something like that. So that's just a failure in communication from the coaching staff. Yeah, he should know it's bad on CJ Sims, no question about that. But he should know, and the coaching staff should communicate that to him, and it wasn't. So it's just as much Chris Jones and the coaching staff and the special teams coordinator's fault.
It's the special teams coordinator's fault as well. But you would think after you see rouge after rouge after rouge in the game, if you were watching the game and you see that, that's a point, that maybe you would recognize it. It was a shock and awe. All right, I just got to get that game out of my system. I may never get it out of my system. But let's get to work here. Slat says, my wife wanted to know why they called a rouge instead of a red. Is it a French thing? Alfred said he dislocated his shoulder punching a wall after that CFL game. I am sorry, Alfred. I blame on it. Okay. Thank you, Lawrence Brown. I'm not going to dwell on any of the way. I had a lot of friends tell me on that game, and it just hurt, man. It just hurt. It just really hurt. If I didn't have a show and I was alone and I bet that and I lost $500 plus a live bet, I would be okay. I'd be okay. I'd be like, look, this happens, part of the game. But when I cost my friends money, that's when it really hurts. Really hurts.
All right, we got the right mic now, so we're back.
All right, let's get to work. Bobano, I had to restart the computer. I just had too much up here, so I'm going to take a second to get my lines up. But let's get to work. Friday, July 7th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Calgary Stampeders 1-2, 1-0 on the road at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, 3-1, 1-1 on the road, IG Field in Winnipeg, Manitoba. What the hell do we do with these teams coming off early buys? Because it's something that I like. I genuinely like it. I don't, but good God, have some spots I find it so wild to believe that after a bye week against the Elks, who give up the second most yards in the league, that the Rough Riders and Harris, who had a 400-yard game, sure enough, it was in garbage time against Bombers, couldn't put up yards. It was just extremely difficult to watch. Let's move over to this, because 2 of these 3 games have teams with coming off buys, and the Stampeders are one of them. This market's been moving quickly over to the Stampeders at some books, not really at Pinnacle. At Pinnacle, there's been 12 cents of movement to the Stampeders, but they're still hanging in 8. If you look around, we see 7.5s on the board. We see a 7 at Bet Online. I mean, that's a point lower than, pretty good books. My bookie hanging in 8, Bodog hanging in 8. That is interesting, but we do have a move towards the Stamps. Now, when I saw 8.5, my first thought was bet the Stamps right now. I didn't. From a total side of things, this opens up at 45.5 at some books. It opened up at 46.5 here at Pinnacle, and it has not moved. We have not moved off of this total. So we have a move towards the Stamps and no movement on the total. Here we go. IG Field in Winnipeg, Manitoba. This one pops off tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, so 6:30 in Winnipeg. So let's get the weather here for Winnipeg. Nice weather all day, not much wind, warm. It's going to be nice. It'll be about 69 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 7-mile-per-hour wind here when we start off. The Bombers were a very angry group after losing 30-6 at home to the Lions, and they took it out on the Montreal Alouettes. We knew that weather was going to be an issue, and I still don't believe in Winnipeg that much. And I took the Winnipeg Bombers team total under, and even though they smashed the Alouettes, we cashed the team total under for the Bombers. It was at 27.5. The Bombers held the Alouettes to 3 points. That's it. The defense was angry. The defense stepped up. The offensive line was angry. The offensive line played much better. They had given up 27 points in each of their first 3 games. The Lions put up 30 against them. And I mentioned Trevor Harris putting up 400-plus yards against them in that game. A lot of that came in garbage time. And Adam Bighill, questionable. He's important. Now we have the Stamps coming in off a bye. Their offense looked atrocious against the Lions in that opening week, but we see how good this Lions defense is capable of playing, if Vernon Adams doesn't throw 6 interceptions. Then they had a big week 2 and then another decent week 3. Now you were on that over Bobano, and we needed overtime, to cash it. It wasn't, I wasn't very impressed with the offense. I have not been impressed with Jake Maier this season, but he's looked quite a bit better. 4 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks, and throwing 310 yards per game since the Lions debacle. So we expect Maier to get better throughout the season. Kadeem Carey still hurt, but Dedrick Mills has looked very, very strong, and the offensive line looks much, much better. Also, Reggie Begelton, a full participant, so he's expected to be good to go, and they're dealing with injuries out wide, so it's going to be very important for Reggie to be back in action. Take it away for us here, Bobano, game 1 on this weekend's CFL card. This is the lone Friday night game. Floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, bye week teams are 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the spread so far this season in the CFL. So every team off a bye week is won, and the only one that hasn't covered was obviously last night was Saskatchewan, laying 7.5, and they win by a single point. So, but here's the thing. I mean, most of the teams that have been on a bye week have been either a very short favorite or they've been an underdog. I wasn't comfortable laying 7.5 with Saskatchewan. I said right away going into this week's card, I ain't blindly betting the bye week trend with Saskatchewan because I don't trust them in this spot laying more than a touchdown. This is a different situation. You got Calgary catching, 8.5 is what it opened. It's 7.5, 8 now. They're off a bye, and they're off a frustrating loss before the bye. Whereas Saskatchewan was coming off that in that same game, the overtime win against Calgary. And you could tell Saskatchewan was flat. I don't think Calgary is flat coming into this game tonight. I think Calgary off that frustrating loss to Saskatchewan where they had opportunities to win that game. Jake Maier throws that bad interception in the end zone to end the game against Saskatchewan. He could have run for the first down. I still believe that if you look at the replay. But they ended up losing, and it was a tough one. And they've suffered a ton of key injuries, including Malik Henry in that game. Devastating. Their best receiver, someone that's really going to be, an impact player for this offense. And they are still dealing with some injuries at that position. But they do get some reinforcements for this game. Reggie Begelton's back from injury. He didn't play last game against Saskatchewan. Mark and Michael, this is a name that we'll remember from years ago, was on this Calgary team, was an all-star receiver, was on the Grey Cup team, the last Grey Cup they won, I believe, 2017. He was on that team, and he was a great receiver for them. He's back, and he's going to be in the lineup tonight. He had a stint where he was, trying out for the NFL. He's been bouncing around a few NFL camps the last few years, but now he's back in the CFL with this Stamps team, and he's a very good receiver, or at least he was in his last tenure with Calgary. So that's a boost, especially when you're without Malik Henry going into this game. So that's big for Calgary. Their offensive line, look, they're starting new tackles this year on the left and the right side of the offensive line, and I think you're starting to see them gel quite a bit. And the one thing a bye week is going to give a team that's got O-line problems is opportunity to gain greater continuity, which is big, and greater amount of health and cohesion. So I think that's big for Calgary. We'll get to Hamilton in a bit. They've had O-line issues. What a time for the bye for them to their O-line is going to be about as healthy as it's been in a long time going into Saturday night. So, that's what's going to help. Dave Dickinson, obviously, a coach that, is going to be able to, I think, work with this offense, get them in the right frame of mind, get them to play a little bit better going into this game off the bye week, have some things planned that maybe Winnipeg isn't preparing for. And on the flip side, when you look at this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team, their defense is still a little bit shaky. They gave up at least 27 points in each of their first three games. Now, I get it against Montreal. They shut down the Alouettes, and they only gave up 3 points. And I expected them to shut down the Alouettes because I think the Alouettes are at least a little bit fraudulent in my mind. I don't think Montreal's that good. And that's why I really liked Winnipeg last week against Montreal. And they took care of business. But now they're back home. They're laying a significant number. And it's worth noting in that game against Montreal, even though they only gave up 3 points, they still gave up well over 300 total yards. So, there were still some times where Montreal moved the ball, but they made too many mistakes, turnovers, fumbles, interceptions by Fajardo, and it ended up hurting them in that game. There's still some weakness in that secondary. I love Jeff Coate and Jefferson, the dual pass rushers. We like Adam Bighill. We think they're pretty good up front on the defensive front. But that secondary is a little weak. And they've had some injuries and they've had some absences, including DeMario Houston. They've had some youth and inexperience back there, and teams have picked on that. Calgary might be one of those teams able to pick on that. Jake Mayer started the season bad, but he started to get it going against Saskatchewan. It was by far his best game of the season, and now he's got the bye week. He's got Bagleton, Michael back at receiver to offset the unfortunate, devastating injury loss for the season for Henry. So I think Calgary can move the ball here in this game, and I think they will. I also think if you look back, Jimmy, last year, Calgary was really tough to Winnipeg. 7-point game in the first meeting. It was a 2-point game. Like every game was close. Calgary played Winnipeg very well. And Jake Mayer, 2 of his best games ever as a CFL quarterback came against Winnipeg. For some reason, he's played very well against the Bombers. I think his first CFL victory came against Winnipeg in a game in the last couple of years. So I like Calgary in this spot. I like the number. You're getting 8.5. I got 8.5. I still like it at whatever the best. I think it's 8 right now. I'll lock it in. Calgary +8 official play. And I'm also liking this total up and over. If you look at Calgary Winnipeg last year, 2-1 to the over in the 3 meetings. The last 2 meetings flew over the total. We're talking like 31-29, 28-24, like high scoring games. The one game that stayed under was 26-19 the first meeting, and it was Bo Mitchell, not Mayer, at quarterback. 45 points, and I remember that game. It only stayed under because Calgary threw an interception in the end zone in the final minute, or else that game was going to go over the total. So I think we'll see points as well. I do think Winnipeg will move the ball. They're just so good on offense. Kolaros with Dembski, Wolotarski, Schoen, a great receiving core. Brady Oliveira running the football. Calgary's defense does look like it's taken a step back. Look at what Saskatchewan did to them, a couple of weeks ago. They're not as strong up front as they've been in the past. So I think Winnipeg's offensive line, which had that huge bounce back performance against Montreal after they got whipped by BC, they will be a lot better, and they'll be able to line up in the trenches and be able to run the ball, balanced offense. Zach will throw it like he does. The run opens up the pass for this Winnipeg offense. So I think they'll score points, and they'll be motivated to do so, because the last time they were on this field against BC, they were completely shut down by the Lions in their last home game. So I like Calgary to keep it within a score, and I like this game up and over the total. Both official plays.
You got it. Over 46.5 -108 at Pinnacle, and the +8 available with regular VIG still at Bet365. Interesting that, like books like Pinnacle and Bet365 aren't moving off the 8. Tease is on the over as well. And I just need a night off of this fucking sport after last night. That
was ugly. And look, I think there's going to be some people that come away from that game thinking, I think it's now 10-6 unders this season in the CFL in the 16 games, and last night's game was a debacle as far as offense is concerned. Let's start betting these games under. To me, that might be a mistake here in this game. It actually might be a mistake in a lot of the games we're going to talk about, because I still think there's going to be some points in these remaining 3 games.
And it's funny because right at the start of the season on our show, I talked about how many overs hit last year and how we're going to come back to unders, and yet still I thought points were going to be scored in the last 2 Elks games. That's 2 Elks games in a row where I thought enough points were going to be scored. And look, Ottawa did their part It's too bad that Tyree Adams is now gone for the season, but we'll talk about that game next. So I'm not moving on the Bombers, Stampeders. My mental health is in question. Let's move on to Saturday, July 8th. I'll be refreshed. And this is a game that I want to bet. We have here our guy, Slatsy, talking about Vernon Adams wanting to get back at the Montreal Alouettes. And now we have Masoli going up against Hamilton. And I don't really want my quarterbacks playing that way. I want them to be comfortable and loose. I want them to be like Daggy coming into a game in the third quarter, not Daggy sitting there for a week knowing he's going to start. So that doesn't really appeal to me, this whole revenge from the quarterback. I don't want a quarterback thinking like that. I want the quarterback to be clear-headed and just calm and comfortable and just like he's done it before. A running back, a linebacker, very different.
Yeah.
I want a wide receiver, very different. I want them to think revenge. I want them to hate their opponent. But the quarterback side of things does not really appeal to me. Let's talk about this one, Redblacks against the Ticats. This is Saturday night football here in Tim Hortons Field, Hamilton, Ontario, where Bobano will be. First off, total-wise, this opened up at 44. It's now at 44.5. It moved to 44.5 yesterday morning. So it's moved a half point towards the over. From a point spread standpoint, there's been this move towards Ottawa, and I'm telling you, I
expected it. I expected it as soon as the Jeremiah Masoli news came out. I definitely expected money to come in on Ottawa. I'm actually not surprised by that.
Well, I don't get it, though, from an X's and O's standpoint. And I was immediately wanting to bet Hamilton, and I was like, no, of course not. Let's just sit back and wait, which is what we've done. Now there's ones on the board and 1.5. So it's opened up at 3. It's now at 1.5 at Pinnacle. From a money line standpoint, which might be a better way to look at it, the Redblacks have gone from plus 133 down to plus 110. And Masoli did not look good. Has not looked good in how long? When was the last time Masoli looked like a top level quarterback in the CFL, Bobano?
So before he got injured last year, he was playing okay, but not great. You know what I mean? Like, he played okay. Now, it was a really bad team around him last year, admittedly, and obviously it totally went south, on the Ottawa Redblacks before his injury. But you're right, he wasn't lighting it up. So that's the question. The other question is, not only has he been off for a year, and he hasn't really been on a football field, throwing the ball around all that much until maybe the last week or two. So hasn't played a CFL game in a year, and we know why that is, because of that scum, Garrett Marino. It was one of the most vicious, despicable things you'll ever see in a football game. Clear, vicious intent to injure and maim somebody, and that's exactly what he did. And I have to watch that son of a gun in a USFL game a few weeks ago do the same shit. How is this guy still playing pro football? An absolute cheap, dirty fucking player, and he's still playing pro football. It's brutal. Terrible. But thankfully Masoli's worked his way back from this injury, but hasn't played in a year. A lot of new receivers around him. A lot of offensive line changes coming into the year for Ottawa. And you have a new offensive coordinator, Kahari Jones, in his first year now as offensive coordinator. So the playbook's changed probably a little bit from last year. So there's a lot of stuff that's new around Jeremiah Masoli. And from physically, he hasn't played in a year. So I don't think it's right to assume that he's just going to hit the ground running and things are going to be clicking immediately. The rhythm and the chemistry and the high level of performance are going to be there just right away, for Jeremiah Masoli. Now, the good news is he's got great rapport with Jalen Acklin. Those two guys played together for Hamilton years ago. That's definitely going to help that's definitely going to help the Ottawa Redblacks offense in this game. I'll tell you what, this is set up on a tee, Jimmy, for Hamilton. There's no question about that. I mean, they're off a bye. They're a desperate 0-3 team. They're an angry team. They've got to feel ashamed with the way they've started, especially with the way that home opener, and I was there for it. I mean, just totally got away from them in the second half against a Montreal team that I don't really think's all that special. I don't think Montreal's all that great. And Hamilton ended up going in, or Montreal ended up going in there and just taking the game away in the second half and running away with it. Of course, a couple interceptions by Matt Schultz really hurt. He's going to get the start, obviously, here. The other thing that Hamilton will benefit from, not only the bye week, but look at the schedule in the first 3 weeks and look at strength of schedule here. They played Winnipeg in Winnipeg. We never win there. We know how good the Bombers are. They played Toronto, the Argos, the next week with Toronto off a bye week. And then they played Montreal, where Hamilton's coming off the Sunday game against Toronto, playing on a Friday night. So like 4 days between games. And Montreal's coming off a bye week when they played in Hamilton 2 weeks ago. So they played Winnipeg and they played on the road, and they played 2 teams coming off a bye week in the first 3 games for Hamilton. So the schedule has been brutal and against them in every game so far. This is the first game all season the schedule favors Hamilton. They're off a bye week, and Ottawa obviously had to play last week. So that's why I said after that brutal Montreal game, of course, the group that I'm with for these season tickets, they're losing their minds. They're saying the season's over already. And I'm like, hold on now. It's first of all, it's the CFL. It's June. Let's calm down here. We've seen teams stink for the first half and then turn it on in the second half, and they're dangerous in playoff time. So I said, calm down. Second of all is this. I told them about this, what I'm telling you now, the schedule. It's been brutal. They faced 2 of their 3 teams have been off a bye when they've played them. So now let's see, this is the true indicator and evaluator for Hamilton. If they throw another fucking turd on the field here Saturday night in this game, and I said this on Twitter, then I'm ready to start thinking maybe we're just bad. Maybe we're a horrible football team. Maybe we're awful. Maybe we're not going to do jack shit this season. But I will reserve judgment on that until after this game, because this couldn't set up any better for Hamilton in this game, and with some worry that maybe this team's just not any good, because we brought in Casey Sales. He's done nothing in the pass rush. We brought in Jameer Thurman at linebacker. He's been less than inspiring so far. We brought in some good players in the secondary, and our secondary's been atrocious this season. Everybody's thrown the football on us. Our open field tackling was an embarrassment against Montreal. We had our hands on one of the receivers, and we couldn't wrap them up, and they go down the field for a touchdown. I mean, we are just awful, and the defense has been even worse than the offense. Let's see if the bye week they correct it. Let's see if now they're healthier on the O-line. They're expected to have Chris Van Zyl. I think Joel Figueroa, who they got from BC, is going to be back for this game. Fontana. This is going to be as healthy an O-line as they've had all year, which should help Matt Schultz get more time to throw the ball. We know Matt Schultz can run with the football. I think that's going to be a big element to his game here. And obviously, when the quarterback is a threat to run, it can throw off opposing defenses. So, look, it's set up on a tee for Hamilton. It screams a Hamilton spot here. I am on Hamilton. It's with some trepidation, but I am going to look at them here on the money line. Personally, this is a small bet, but I'm going to make it an official bet for the show. But it's a smaller bet than, say, the 2 bets that I made on the Friday game that we just talked about. I like those 2 more, but I am on Hamilton here, money line minus 125 at bet 365. And I'm also going to go over in this game, Jimmy, 44, minus 110. I still don't trust Hamilton's defense. We've seen them get ripped apart. Winnipeg did, Toronto did, even Montreal, moved the ball with good success. With Masoli back, I could see Ottawa moving the ball a bit. I think we can move the ball on Ottawa. Ottawa's, their defensive yards per game is not great. They haven't faced any good offenses so far. Who have they faced on offense so far? They faced Montreal, who's not a great offense. Edmonton, who are lost on the offensive side of the football last game. So this is a spot to me for Hamilton at home to put up points. Schultz to be comfortable off the bye week. The receivers to get, Tim White to have a big game, Duke Williams to have a big game. Let's get some of these big receivers that we do have going. I think this is the week it can happen. Ottawa's secondary, not great. So I like Hamilton money line, and I think this is another one where we could see a bit more points than the total indicates. So over 44 as well, minus 110 DraftKings.
Yeah, I love the breakdown. I love the breakdown. The bye week has to fix the defense, because nobody had any idea that you guys would be averaging 37.5 points per game, 0 turnovers this year. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous. I feel bad for Tyree Adams, man. I really do. I hate that he's hurt. I think that he would get more opportunities this year. It's too bad. The running game with the Montreal Tuggle succeeded also because you had to keep an eye on Tyree Adams. And when Tyree, there was running games that were delays, and the delays worked so well because you didn't know if Tyree Adams was going to pass or throw, and all of a sudden, it's Tuggle. and it was working, and that's not going to work with Masoli at quarterback. So I'm with you. I'm on the Ticats. I'm going to first half full game it, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and wait and wait. This line just keeps moving and moving and moving and moving, and I'm not going to get in the way of it. At this point, I'm just going to sit back and relax. And I wanted the Ticats all week. I wanted the Ticats last week. I've wanted the Ticats for a while, staring at this and knowing Masoli was going to come back. And I love it. So Bobano, I'm not touching the total. I'm just going to take Ticats first half and full game. And Bobano is on the Tiger Cats money line and the over 44.
Home team off a bye week gets well, facing a beatable foe. We saw it last week with Ottawa against Edmonton. And this feels similar to me with Hamilton here. We'll see if they can take advantage of it. I'm still a little worried because there's so much that I don't like about this team right now. But hey, we'll see if like I say, it could set up better for them here Saturday
healthiest
night.
Team in the entire league right now.
Yep.
Let's go into Sunday, July 9th. Final game before we get into MLB. 7 p.m. Eastern. Montreal Alouettes 2-1, 1-0 on the road at the BC Lions. 3-1, 1-0 at home. BC Place Stadium. Slatsy says Fajardo will be running for his life. BC defense for real. Jason Moss is so ready to implode. After your take on the team wanting to win for them is right on. Lions 4-2 against spread Versailles last 6 in BC. Look, we all saw the Lions in a horrible spot, and the Argos took control of the situation. And I've been saying all year that Vernon Adams is not a good quarterback. And the one thing that I said at the beginning of the year that was working for Vernon Adams was that he was not making mistakes. He was not, and that's why here I disagree with Slatsy that he's going to have this huge bounce back effort against the team that he despises because that's just not him. He's just not a guy who can throw the ball. He's never been that. And so I think that this BC Lions football team with enormous anger is going to rally around him because Vernon Adams is a great leader and they love him. And I think the Lions are going to be very, very tough here. And I haven't figured out exactly how to bet the game, but I'm starting to find more clarity. First off, I want the Lions. I want the Lions here. And I guess I want them first half and full game. I think getting the 7 is crucial at Pinnacle. They're hanging a very juiced 7.5 here. So if you want the line at 7.5, it's plus 106. But I think getting the 7 is critical. They open this with the 7.5 minus 107, and the 7.5 is now plus 106. So at 7.5, there's been a 14-cent move at Pinnacle, very sharp book, to the Montreal Alouettes. And, I really, really think that the people who know this sport intimately and focus on all the time know that Vernon Adams is just a bad quarterback on a very good football team. This total opened up here at 44.5. It's now up to 45.5. I want the under, but I'd much prefer the Alouettes under. So that's my plan. It could be a quadruple up spot here, I guess, if it's first half full game Lions, if it's the 3.5 and the 7. And again, if it's the Alouettes team total under, as well as the full game under, because I still believe in the Alouettes defense. The Alouettes defense looked very good. And I know we can just kind of maybe put a line to the Winnipeg game because of the weather, but this Alouettes defense against bad teams, look, they had a easy schedule to start off, looked very strong. They hadn't allowed a touchdown. So I do think that I obviously want to hear what you're saying, and I agree that Slatsy saying Fajardo will be having to run for his life. He was sacked 5 times against the Bombers. They've allowed 15 sacks, and who leads the league in sacks? The BC Lions, and that front group can be dominant here. And look who the Owls have beaten. The teams are combined 1-5. So they're also Deontay Evans is a huge part of this puzzle, and we don't expect him to play. Stanback is back. He was sick, so he's back. And look, there's a very angry Lions group, and Taquan Mazzell is awesome. I can't believe how good he is. Lucky Whitehead is a full participant in practice, so he's over the hammy issues, which means now you have the best wide receiver group in the league.
All healthy. If Whitehead plays, everyone for the first time this season in BC's receiving core is healthy and on the field at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. And Vernon Adams and Mazzell have to be able to run the ball. They have to be able to run the ball, because if they're not, and Vernon Adams always been good at it, but he's not been running much this year, but they have to be able to do it, because if they don't, then I don't think that he's going to bounce back. I really don't think Vernon Adams is going to bounce back through the air. And look, Slatsy, you could be right. He could put up 400 yards. I just don't see that in him as a football player. Take it away here, Bobano. I'm trying to sharpen up exactly what I'm going to do here. Alouettes, Lions. Take it away.
It's one of from a totals perspective, it's a tricky game, because I could see something like 35 to 14, and it could still end up going over the total just because BC gets into the 30s. But will that happen is the question. I like BC. That is the official play for me. I like BC here. -7, -1. Let me see what the best number is. -7, -120 at Bet365. So again, you can still find sevens with some juice, but make sure you shop around. They are still out there. -7, -120 here in this game. Actually, you know what? There's not -7, -120. So I like the Lions here. It was actually one of the first bets I made this week. I knew I'd be, after that Toronto game especially, I'd be looking at BC here against. Again, I don't think Montreal's that great. I really don't. It's amazing to me. People got so excited about Montreal's 2-0 start. When you look back at them, you played Ottawa and you barely won that game 19-12, and Fajardo and the offense didn't look great in that victory at home against the Ottawa Redblacks, who again aren't a great team. And then they played my Hamilton Ticats after that with Montreal off a bye and Hamilton coming off a very short week, playing Toronto on a Sunday night and then having to play Hamilton or Montreal on a Friday, with Montreal coming off a bye. So they played an Ottawa team that's not very good. Hamilton's terrible so far. And they played Hamilton with Montreal coming off a bye, Hamilton off a short week, and 2-0. And everyone started to get, hey, maybe we undervalued Montreal. We underrated them coming into the season. No, I think Montreal is what they is. They're a mediocre team. I don't want to say they're bad, but they're mediocre. They're not as good as that 2-0 start. I was very happy to take Winnipeg against them last week, bounce back after the BC game, saying Montreal is a little overvalued now after that 2 wins. And finally, they played a good team, and they looked like, what I expected. I don't think Montreal is great. I think offensively, they're still very weak. The O-line's not great. Cody looked like last year in Saskatchewan with Moss and Fajardo again, the two of them together, where Fajardo's running for his life. Bad play calling, why are we making Fajardo step back 5 times, or 5-step drop backs with a challenged offensive line going up against that Winnipeg pass rush? You're just asking for the quarterback to, get sacked over and over again. This is what Moss did with Fajardo in Saskatchewan last year. You have a horseshit offensive line. Why are you calling plays like that? It's got to be quick passing game. Get the ball out of the guy's hands quickly. Screen passes. Get the ball to your running back. Quick little passes over the middle of the field so you put less pressure on your offensive line. This has always been my issue with Jason Moss calling plays. And it's why I didn't love the hire, quite honestly, because what did he do in Edmonton when he was the head coach there? They weren't any good when Jason Moss was the head coach there. So, like I say, I'm not very high on this Montreal team. I'm not panicking about BC getting obliterated by Toronto. Let's not forget they were moving the ball, but Vernon Adams just had this game where it's like he saw ghosts, in the Toronto secondary, 6 interceptions. I agree in the fact that he's not as good as he showed in the first 3 games. We know Vernon Adams is capable of mistakes and interceptions and bad decision-making. It's what got him out of Montreal. It's what got him traded out of Montreal, that he just made bad decisions, too many mistakes. And finally, we saw that from him against Toronto. But, man, if there's ever a game you are chomping at the bit to bounce back, it's after throwing 6 interceptions, and it's against the team that traded you, which Montreal did last year. So I'm expecting back home with the entire receiving core now healthy, including Lucky Whitehead, with Keon Hatcher, with Dominique Rhymes, with Alex Hollins, who's really developed into a good receiver as well. That's just a lot of weapons for a Montreal secondary that got exposed by Winnipeg last week when they finally played a real offense, and might be without Deontay Evans again, who's by far their best cornerback. They've got Murray. They've got a lot of youth in this secondary. They've got Wesley Sutton, who's supposed to be a good cornerback, but this guy's like, there's gambling addictions, there's drinking addictions, there's drug addictions. Wesley Sutton's addiction is pass interference penalties. He's addicted to PI. He's addicted to pass interference penalties. This guy can't defend down the field without taking a pass interference penalty. for the Montreal Alouettes. He did this shit all of last year. He had one last week against Winnipeg. I mean, this is supposed to be one of their experienced players in the secondary, and he probably is after Deontay Evans. And he's bad in terms of locating the ball in flight. He's bad in terms of, staying with the receiver down the field, and he just holds illegal contact, pass interference, takes too many of those penalties. So I shudder to think if Deontay Evans, the best secondary player Montreal has, doesn't play, how the hell are they going to defend this receiving core at full strength? Assuming now we can get Vernon Adams to not make those, bad decision-making plays that he made last week and read the defense better than he did against Toronto, which I think he will back home. And the one thing about BC now, they've got a home field that's a lot stronger than it's ever been. They're getting now 30,000 a game now, 25, 30,000. They've got bands. They got LL Cool J coming there for performances. They're like Amar Doman is doing a phenomenal job building out interest and excitement around BC Lions football, the new owner. So I expect, and remember the last home game they had, Jimmy, all they did was totally shut out Edmonton 22-0. Like it was dominant start to finish. And I think that defense bounces back. Remember, that defense didn't play that bad against Toronto. Every Toronto touchdown and score, they had 45 points, came on a short field because of Vernon Adams' mistakes. If you look at that game, they scored 45 points, Toronto. Here's the stat that's amazing, Jimmy, about that game. 45 points for Toronto. 31 of those 45 points came off of Vernon Adams' turnover. 31 of the 45 points, and 7 of the points came off a special teams kick return touchdown. So take away the points off turnovers from Vernon Adams, take away the kick return touchdown. BC's defense only gave up 7 points to Toronto of the 45 on drives where Toronto had to go down the field, drive down the field, and score. Toronto only got 7 points in that game. 31 off Vernon turnovers, and the other 7 with the kick return touchdown. So 38 of the 45 points were off Vernon turnovers or the special teams touchdown. So to be honest, that tells you BC's defense didn't play that bad. The worst thing you could do in your handicapping after that game is say, oh, BC gave up 45 points. They suck on defense. No, they didn't play that bad. The quarterback just put them in a bad spot over and over and over and over again in that game. So for me, a bounce back spot for BC. -7, that's the official play.
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to move pretty heavy on this game. I'm going to take Lions first half full game, and I'm going to take the full game under and the Owls team total under.
And I mentioned the O-line struggles with Montreal. Who the hell is going to block Matthew Betts? Seriously, This guy is an absolute terror right now. Like, he is making a case for top 2, top 3 pass rusher in the CFL, maybe the best behind Willie Jefferson of Winnipeg right now. That's how good he's playing.
Yeah, the group is dominant, and Vernon Adams has just got to play within himself.
Just no mistakes. Yeah. Just take what's given to you.
A simple game.
Yeah.
Keep a simple game. I love it. All right, that's our CFL breakdown. So Bobano is on the Stamps +8 tonight, and the over 46.5. I'm off that game. Bobano is on the Tiger Cats full game and the over 44. I'm going to be on the Tiger Cats first half full game, but I'm not betting that today. I'm just going to keep watching it move towards Ottawa. And then we're all over that Lions Alouettes game. All right, let's get into MLB 1777 memorabilia in the house. Let's get to work here. We got a big 15-game card. Let's start at 6:40 p.m. Eastern. Shout out to all of our specialty action and specialty plays and plays of the day, because they've been unbelievably successful here on the show. And the ribeye play of the day cashed yesterday, now up 10 units on 22 bets. Unbelievable. And, of course, the gift cashed again. We have the gift ready. Yes, North Ender, the Lions did open at 7.5. And yeah, there's not much more to say about that. So the market has moved slightly towards the Owls. And, again, that's fine. The market's moved towards every single dog on the card this week. So pick your spots. I mean, did you want every dog? I mean, it's up to you. Moose money's on the first 5 over 4.5 here. Let's talk about Atlanta Braves 58-28, 28-13 on the road at Tampa Bay Rays 57-33, 34-13 at home. There's my guy Andrew Jameson in the house. Charlie Morton going up against Tyler Glasnow. Let's start with the line history. We know we don't need to worry about weather here in Tampa, so let's talk about the line history. This opened up with Tampa a minus 115. They're now minus 108. So 7 cents of movement for the Atlanta Braves. Let's get to this total here. Codrino, that hurt badly, but there was not. It was, I delivered that pain to myself here, and I like the spot. It was, it happens. 3 and 4 day yesterday. It's been a winning week. That's what we just need: winning week after winning week after winning week to get to the black, where we were very healthy last year. So, total wise here, this total Morton versus Glasnow opened up under 8 at minus 113. It's now under 8.5 at minus 107. Excuse me. Now under 8.5 minus 113. So we have 6 cents of movement to the under. So a slight move to the under and a slight move to the Braves. Let's pull up the cash flow here for this one. I thought I had it up, but I guess when I shut down the computer, it's gone here. So let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. What we have is 78% of the tickets and 39% of the cash on the Braves. So the sharp action on the Rays, the books don't seem to care. From a total perspective, 23% of the tickets and 45% of the cash on the under. And we've seen a move to the under. That feels sharp. Joey Irving says, can't fade Atlanta at this price. Penny Bombs is on the Ozuna homer. There's our guy, Mally Mal, in the house. What up, Mally Mal? Andrew saying sharps all over Rays. I'm on the Braves. Yeah, if they're all over the Rays, which we see that that they are, then why on earth is the market moving towards the Braves? I mean, obviously there's just no fear being shown by the books here in this spot, but yeah, there are sharps on the Rays. Moose Money says Morton's been very good on the road, but Tampa Bay 180 ISO power, 276 average versus right-handed pitcher. But Mally Mal says the Braves is free. Charlie Morton 8 and 6, 3.57 ERA, 1.44 WHIP, 105 Ks and 90 2/3. He keeps delivering. He just keeps delivering at such an old age. Coming off a really nice start at home over the Marlins, 5 2/3, 4 hits, no earned runs, 5 Ks, 1 walk. He's been better on the road than he's been at home. 47 innings, 4 and 3, 3.06 ERA, 51 strikeouts, 19 walks, and 1 home run. He's allowed just 1 home run on the road. Impressive. Now 270 opponent's batting average, but not a ton of power. Tyler Glasnow, 2 and 2, 4.50 ERA, 1.33 WHIP, 56 strikeouts in 36 innings, but he's been getting touched, and he got touched in 8-3 loss at the Mariners last out. 3 earned runs over 5 2/3 and 7 hits. There's Markel in the house. Justin McElvey says Braves team total over 4.5 is on his card. Let me make sure I got all the action copied and pasted here. At home, Glasnow's not been good. Now it's just 19 2/3, but 5.03 ERA. Look, he gets strikeouts nonstop, but he's allowed 4 jacks in those 19 2/3, and the Braves smash righties, 309, 950. You have the best offense in the league and the best bullpen in the league. God, the Braves are going to be tough to beat. The Rays versus righties, 253, 744 OPS. The Orioles now just 4 games back. Our Orioles to win the division. I could have got it at plus 1,200. I didn't, but still plus 650. I'm pretty excited. And Rays bullpen 2.38 ERA. Braves bullpen 2.38 ERA. Rays bullpen 3.01 ERA. Take it away here for us, Bobano. Game 1 on the board. Braves Rays.
What's going on here? There we go. My mute button was stuck. All right, we're good. Dual strikeout props. Both pitchers here I like. I think we're going to see a lot of, I think they're both, this is going to be one of those games where, and I've cashed a lot of strikeout props lately where the pitcher is still giving up like 5 or 6 runs and they still go over their K prop. And for Glasnow, I could see it because look, this Atlanta offense is unstoppable right now. They're just so good. But, Tyler Glasnow's strikeout numbers the last few starts have been insane, and, he clearly is getting the swinging strike rate back up again. When he's on the mound, and we're definitely seeing that here going into this game. So I'm going to go with Glasnow over 7.5 strikeouts minus 125. He's at 12 and 11 in the last 2 games. Now, granted, Kansas City, Seattle are good matchups because both teams tend to strike out quite a bit. That's not the same thing as facing Atlanta, not even close. But, even before that, against a pretty good Baltimore team, and he only pitched 4.1 innings because he gave up 6 runs in that start against Baltimore, he still had 7 strikeouts. So Glasnow is really getting that swing and miss ability, back again. So not an easy matchup against this, incredible Atlanta lineup, but I do still like the over 7.5 minus 125 strikeouts for Glasnow. And I like Charlie Morton over strikeouts as well. Over 6.5 at plus 105 at BetMGM for Charlie Morton over strikeouts. When I look here at Morton, we've seen a little bit of a bump in his strikeout numbers as well of late. And look who all of a sudden is striking out a lot more as a team, Tampa Bay. They really are. Taijuan Walker, I cashed a strikeout prop with him a couple days ago for Philadelphia against Tampa Bay. He had a 6 or 7 strikeouts in that game. All we need is 7 out of Charlie Morton. 3 of the last 4 starts, he's had at least 7 strikeouts for the Atlanta Braves. You mentioned he's been better on the road than he's been at home. So I definitely like Morton over 6.5 here as well. So that's my looks on this game. Strikeout props for both of the starters.
And what was the juice on Glass now over 7.5?
Minus 125.
Minus 125 there. Okay, you are locked in. Spenny Penny Bombs on Ozuna Homer. Ricky Bobby says that he's loving Glass now under 17.5 outs. Says he hasn't went over 6 innings yet. And some concern from Moose on the Atlanta striking out percentage, 18.2 at 450 at bats. But that's why it's at 7.5 when he's got 23 in his last 2 games. So
one thing about Glass now too, one hell of a competitor. He's a fiery guy. Like he really is. He knows how good Atlanta is. He knows he's supposed to be one of the better pitchers. He's been obviously very inconsistent. He hasn't been quite dialed in since he came back from all these setbacks he's had injury-wise. But talk about motivational spot. He'll have it tonight, Glasnow. He's a fiery competitor, and that's what I'm hoping for, and that he can get 8 Ks.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. I'm staying, I don't move on pitcher props, or at least I have yet too. But Millsy loving it. Says 7.5 low for Glasnow. Says Glasnow is his guy. And look at Moose might say Braves 304 ISO and 400 plus at bats is ridiculous. Brandon the Great looking at Ozuna and Acuna RBI. Let's move on to these, and Justin McAvee on the Braves team total over 4.5. Move to second game on the board, and our guy Tone Miggins continues to eat off of these Philadelphia Phillies, and I finally joined him yesterday, and it was richly rewarding watching that 11 inning victory. Again, this bullpen. Now, the Braves since June 1st are the best in the league, and arguably the best in the league, year long. The Phillies had that horrific start from their bullpen, but in the last 2.5 weeks or so, this is the best bullpen in baseball. And Tone Miggins going right back to work here on the Phillies. Levels play of the day, Phillies money line minus 124 for 2 units. He's also on Stott over 1.5 bases at plus 145. Alfred on the Phillies. Rocco Rogers on the Phillies first 5 minus 120. I came so close to moving on unders in this game, and there was enough hesitancy for me to decide, talk it out with the squad and then decide if you want to move on it. So let's do that. Ramon Granillo saying Ray swing and everything. That's why I love seeing them buckle here before the All-Star break. And Mark Hell says finally going to join Philly also. Now, I have not yet, and I just wanted to talk it out. So let's do just that. First, we don't need to worry about weather once again. So let's go right into, and Joe Yerv says Braves going at least 4 in that spot. Let's go right to the line history here in this one. And, I guess there's been a move towards the Phillies, right from the jump, really. It took about 3.5 hours for there to be like a legit move, an 8-cent move. It got up to minus 125, went back down again, then got back up to minus 128. It's sitting at minus 127. So we have 10 cents of movement to the Phillies, and I'm, comfortable with that. And I'm comfortable with Wheeler, even though he's coming off a couple of starts that I don't love. And Alcantara. So, okay, the fact for me here, the final straw where I was like, you know what, don't bet it, talk it out, was that Alcantara faced Philly on April 10th. And it was a long time ago. But he got lit up and smoked. 9 earned runs, 10 hits. It was at first, it was jarring. It was at Citizens Bank Park. And he doesn't have great numbers for some of these guys. And then that made me, pump the brakes on doubling up on this under and wanted to talk it out with you guys. We know that there's been a 10-cent move to the Phillies on this total. We have it moving constantly to the under. So this move opened up at 7.5 minus 105 to the under, and then it moves to 7 at midnight. It only lasts there for 5 minutes, then back at 7 again, up to 7.5. And this is the wild part of it, was that it gets to 8 less than 2 hours ago. So, having all these cappers on different sides of the fence always gives me pause. So it goes to 8, and this wasn't heavily juiced to the under at 8. This is minus 114 to the under at 10:18 a.m. then back to 7.5, then back to 7 30 minutes ago. And now this is heavily juiced to the under 7.5. So clearly we see both sides of the coin on this one. Let's go to the cash and see if it will, illuminate more for us here. 64% of the tickets, 65% of the cash on the Phillies. Line moving towards the Phillies. Maybe that's just the bet that needs to be made here. Just a Phillies full game, trusting how good their bullpen has been. But their bullpen is taxed. And I know they only traveled from Tampa Bay, but this bullpen has been, heavily in use and was again yesterday in the extra inning game. From a total perspective, 37% of tickets and 62% of cash is on the under. So I guess, I can see that here. Moose Money saying Miami at home has been good, but this Philly train is full steam ahead. JW says, I want to bet Philly money line, but I feel I missed the line. Christopher Comantini says, what do we get from Sandy? I mean, JW, I let a lot of money on the table with the Orioles yesterday because I felt the same thing, but it's a legit thing to talk about. Chili Dog Dooley says 2 of the best nerfy pitchers in the league. Andrew G says Sandy is going to get touched. Johnny K says Marlins money line, good look. And Wine Time's already moved on the Marlins money line. Corey Allen on Alcantara over 1.5 walks, and Justin McElvey all over this. Phillies team total over and the money line half unit each, and he's adding the first 5 right now. Moose Money says Phillies first 5 full game. I'm convinced Sandy's tipping his changeup. Went from sub 200 to over 300 on his changeup. Spending on the Alec Boehm RBI. So Wheeler 4.03 ERA, 1.19 WHIP. He has been good. Just good. His last start was a 19-4 win at home, and there was no pressure on him, but he didn't pitch that well. 5 innings, 4 earned runs, 7 hits, 1 jack. Alcantara coming off that loss at the Braves, 4 earned runs over 5 innings. He's been bad at home all season, 4.86 ERA. Now he's only allowed 3 homers over 53 and 2/3. So it's strange, that his ERA is, so high, without him getting really barreled that much. Phillies versus righties, 263, 750 since June 1st, while Marlins are 262, 725. And as I said, this Phillies bullpen's lights out of late, while this Marlins bullpen is a 4.17 ERA since June 1st. Bobano, take it away. Very interesting spot here, Phillies Marlins.
Yeah, it is. And this was a tough one for me because I was going all around in circles. Think Philly, Miami, under, over. It's one of those games where you can actually make a decent case for all of them. But I actually think Sandy might pitch well here. And I think Zach Wheeler will probably bounce back a little bit too. Now, Zach Wheeler is a guy that sometimes on the road, you can be a little bit difficult to trust. But this is another one where I gravitated toward the strikeout prop for both guys again. Sandy and for Zach. Sandy's not a big strikeout guy. If you look back for the full season, Sandy is not someone that's typically been a big strikeout pitcher, especially this year. And when he's had this obviously much rougher season than he had last year where he was marvelous. But in the last 3 starts, Toronto, Boston, Atlanta, let me repeat that. Atlanta Braves, maybe the best offense in the majors right now. And he had 6 strikeouts in that game, Sandy Alcantara. So I think over 5.5, he can hit that. He can hit that strikeout prop, and I'm going to take that as an official play. Sandy Alcantara here, over 5.5 strikeouts in this game, which is at minus 122 at Pinnacle with the juice. So Sandy over 5.5 strikeouts, minus 122 at Pinnacle. And I think Zach Wheeler over 6.5 strikeouts here as well. Because I think when you look at it, it's a good matchup here against the Marlins. He does have a pretty good track record in the past against them. And I think he'll have a better start here after a couple of mediocre ones. But I get this, I was not impressed with the approach from Miami's lineup yesterday against Jack Flaherty, who had been lit up in 2 previous starts before yesterday, and he completely shut down that Marlins team. So that's not a good sign. I think it's an opportunity for Wheeler to bounce back here. So both strikeout props again, Jimmy, for the second straight game. So for Wheeler, it's over 6.5 strikeouts, minus 125 at PointsBet.
You got it. You are locked in. I just feel like you guys know I got the futures on the Phillies, and I didn't move until, they were, under 5. Until after the Astros series when there were a few games under 500 about a month ago or longer, maybe 6 weeks ago. The Phillies are just rolling, and they're winning, and that's just contagious. I feel like they're just going to go down there with Wheeler and roll here, but I don't. Like Piker saying, I don't want to undervalue or have this expectation that Sandy's just not going to shove at some point. And I don't know. I want the Phillies. I would not want that minus 130 or minus 125. I'd take them on the minus one line to get a small plus line as the road team. But I hesitant, and I'm hesitant on the total. And when these totals, like, look, I see the sharp action on the under, and I get it. But seeing Pinnacle have enough fear to take it up to 8, knowing that they're going to get under money then, and then show some fear, like it just, I can't. There's so many beautiful spots on this board today, and I lean towards Phillies minus 1. I don't know if I'm going to get there. Gagnon says, feels like there are better games than 2 divisional hot teams fighting for a higher standing before the All-Star break in a week. And Mally Mal says, I love it, Bobano. Both pitchers, ladder them. And Mike,
I don't have the guts to ladder Sandy. Sandy's not an 8-9 strikeout guy. He's just not. So just get me 6. That's all I'm asking.
All right, so let's move on. So at this point, the first 2 games look like passes for me. But here's the game that everybody wants to talk about here. 6:40 p.m. Eastern. Alek Manoah returning to Major League Baseball here. And there's going to be a lot of eyes on him. And I wish the Jays weren't coming off of a doubleheader. I wish there was no concern about, because I know they want to win for him so badly. Like, that's just there's nothing more clear is that they like him, and their heart goes out to what's gone on with him, and he's taken a ton of abuse, as you guys know. But the fact that they're exhausted does throw a curveball here. And also, shout out to our guy Turnsey, who will be at this game at Comerica Park tonight. And you know what? Manoah's not the only one pitching in this game that had enormous expectations and is a huge question mark around. And Faedo has the same shit. So Slatsy says, sounds like Vernon Adams all over again. It does. It does, Slatsy. So we have a couple things here. First off, Say Hey Play of the Day is right here in Comerica Park, Detroit, Michigan. Also, TJ, The Gift, is right here in Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan. We know that Slatsy has been paying his mortgage off of fading Alek Manoah, and he's been very excited for the opportunity to do it again. There's Jay Peasy saying, it's in Cyprus, not Hollywood. And far from Echo Park, so you'll be safe. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I know it's in Cyprus, but my dad always says, it's right down in Hollywood. I just get used to it. But you're right. Come join us, JPZ. Let's roll. But let's begin hearing these looks from our guys. So let's start by bringing out a man who is known for different types of fluid all over his tatalias. Please welcome, from San Antonio, Texas, young Jose Bouquet. Jose, how are you?
Doing well. The groove is coming back, thankfully, so that's nice. Again, I'm just turned into the Prince of Unders. Nolan's the King of Unders. I've become the Prince of Unders.
I don't think you can call yourself that.
But it's been nice. So 3 unders on the card, including one here.
The Crown Jackal of unders, maybe?
I'd be okay with that, too.
Why don't we do that one? Jose, great day yesterday. Senka says you look so sad. You're not sad. Are you coming off a great day?
No, that's just my general,
malaise.
Yeah, that's just how that is, Sanka, unfortunately.
Oh, we got a new nickname for you again, Jose Bouquet.
Boobcat.
Yeah.
That's a good one. The Dapper Capper. Boobcat. So by the way, a quick cheap plug, shout out to our local podcast. They had this guy who is the owner and does a pub run here in San Antonio, and they're doing a 4th of July pub run today. And I'll be there dressed up as a president. So if anyone in San Antonio wants to join a pub run, just look up Pub Run San Antonio. You'll see me dressed up as a president with a wig on, and it'll be very funny. So
sounds great, but why is the July 4th pub going on July 7th? That's just
because it's on the weekend, Bobano. People can't get off, That's how that runs. And it's first Friday. You know how that goes, Bobano. Yeah.
We have another nickname that's coming for you, Seeping Tits Bouquet.
What is seeping out of my tits?
We don't want to know. Let's get to work here. Jays, Tigers, Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan. We will start with the weather here in Detroit. 80 Fahrenheit, 6 miles per hour in. Finally can talk about weather. It goes from 6 miles per hour to 6.6. Not a big deal. Moose Money knows. It's liquids. Liquids of some kind. JW says Helga knows. The Big Daddy Boom says it's leche. It's leche. Okay, so I want that. Let's stay focused here. Let's move into the Ballpark Pal expectations here of Comerica. We have Comerica minus 19% home runs. That's a bit of a surprise. Plus 5% doubles, triples, plus 8% singles, but just even on the runs here. Minus 19% home runs. That's interesting. So let's start with our guy, TJ. The gift play of the day is the Detroit Tigers. And he says, I'm sure you know why. He got in at 230 yesterday at plus 140. He's giving it out here just for show purposes at plus 125. He says that he likes it all the way down to plus 115. Sanka says, where's your Jameson, Jimmy? It's Friday.
He's got a flight to catch soon.
I'm also trying to cut down on the sauce. Or I'm not trying. My family is desperately trying. So, Jays, Tigers. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Pinnacle opened this up at plus 135. The first move was actually towards the Jays, interestingly enough. But then it's been all Tigers. This is down to plus 117. So we have a big 18-cent move at Pinnacle towards the Detroit Tigers. Let's take a look at the total in this one. Faedo versus Manoah trying to save his career. This opened up at 9. It is now at 9.5. It didn't move to 9.5 until 17 minutes ago. And this is the Bodog and my bookie also hanging 9.5. Okay, I was going to say the only book hanging in the 9.5. Moose Money says great spot to bring back Manoah, 26.5% K percentage at home as well, inching towards the first 5 under here. And Joe Yerger says if you like Detroit, you should like the over. JP says I feel like if Manoah comes back and loses, his career's over. Oh God, come on. We watched Halladay have a 6.5, 7 ERA for a season, and then he was the best pitcher in baseball for a decade. So,
Jake Arrieta was horrible at the beginning of his career too, and now he's a World Series legend in Chicago.
So it scares me that you think that a young first-round draft pick could be, but I hear you. So let's take a look at the cash flow and see if it correlates with just fading Alek Manoah. And we have 54% of the tickets and 88% of the cash on the Detroit Tigers. Then we have 76% of the tickets and 89% of the cash on the over, but it took a while to get to that 9.5. Real Deal Prime says, in the words of the Jays GM, Manoah gives us our best chance to win. And that is true because who else do we have as an option? Mitch White? We're trying to have a 5-man rotation because the 4-man rotation, and I didn't realize this, and I heard some quotes, has really bothered Barrios and Bassett. And Bassett's been outspoken about how angry he's been over the 4-man rotation. I didn't realize that. I listened to that on the radio.
I would be too if I was them. Who does that nowadays with pitchers going down like flies? It's pretty nutty.
Well, Akins couldn't give a fuck about the players on this team. But let's talk about Manoah here. He looks awful all year, 6.36 ERA. Can't get anyone out. Looks atrocious. 1.90 whip. 42 walks in 58 innings. Allows 11 jacks. His last start was June 5th. It was at home to the Astros, and he couldn't get out of the first inning. 6 earned runs. It was horrific. Then he gets a break, goes down to rookie ball, and gets lit up and smoked by 17 and 18-year-olds. Good 17, 18-year-olds, but so what? Then he has a start at AA, and he looks pretty good. He allows 1 run on 3 hits, 3 walks, strikes out 10 over 5 innings. That was Sunday. He's been pretty good on the road all year. 1-3, 4.20 ERA, 23 Ks, 17 walks. The K-to-walk ratio has been trash. Only allowed 3 home runs in 30 innings on the road, 233 opponent's batting average. Then you have Faedo. Here's a first-round pick out of 2017 draft, and he has been sidelined since late May. following this procedure to remove his right middle fingernail. So he says he's ready to roll after one rehab start, but he didn't pitch well at AAA Toledo. 4 runs allowed on 6 hits and a walk over 3 1/3. He only threw 57 pitches. He's not stretched out, so this bullpen is going to come into play, and this bullpen is not being good. Tigers aren't hitting righties, 229, 668 OPS. You couldn't pick a better opportunity for Alek Manoah to try to bounce back. Let's hear what Jose's say hey play of the day is, because DJ 100 grand already gave us this under 5 first 5. North Ender only seeing 9s. Did that just change, North Ender? Okay, so I got a 9.5 at Bodog or Bovada and a 9.5 at my bookie. And so Bovada, whatever, a 9.5 at Bookmaker. Take it away, Jose. What does it say hey play of the day?
Yeah, I shockingly enough, I believe in Alek Manoah here. I think he comes out here and pitches well. Shockingly enough, it's funny you didn't mention who he pitched well against. You said it was a AA team. It was against my AA Red Sox. So I know the names in the lineup, and they're pretty good names in that lineup. So I was pretty impressed of his performance. I think Marcelo Meyer, the future best shortstop in baseball, was in there as well. So I respect it. Nick York, he's good as well. And we all knew it was nothing physical with Alek Manoah. We all knew that. It was all just mental of him just not being able to get his confidence back. And then it just took him beating up some fucking 20-year-olds in AA to get it back. It's a great spot for him to come back with. The Tigers are horrible offensively. Even in the last 2 weeks, they've been hitting a little better. 95 weighted runs created plus compared to a full season of 84. So I'm with my man DJ 100 grand there. First 5 under 5 here for me, even money. Faedo is obviously the scary part of this bet. Honestly, I'm more concerned about Faedo than I am Manoah, which is funny. And I'm more relying and hoping on the Blue Jays offense that has just been bad last 2 weeks. 97 weighted runs created plus against righties. Faedo watched Eddie Rodriguez, who just came off of a finger injury of his own, struggle. Hopefully he locks that down a little bit. So I like both pitchers to pitch well here. First 5 under 5 here for me.
Wow. That was unexpected.
There you go.
Unexpected. Let's hear what Bobano has to say. I saw him nodding his head. Take it away, Bobano.
I actually do think Manoah will pitch well. I really do. But I'm doing it a different approach, though. Look, Detroit is near the bottom of the major leagues in K rate, especially against righties and for the majority of the season. This is an opportunity. I think part of the reason is that they just don't want to go to a opener every 5 days. They don't want Trevor Richards, in that kind of spot. They want him back in the bullpen. And there's a desire for the Blue Jays to get that. And look, you saw what Richards did back in the bullpen yesterday against Chicago. He was terrific. That's where they want him. And they want Manoah back here because they want to get their rotation back in order where everyone's pitching on normal rest, pitching every 5 days. And now that's going to happen with Manoah back there. So I get why they did it. It does feel a little bit rushed considering we're only going off one great AA start against New Hampshire. I know Jose said it was mental with Alek. I think it was actually a little bit mechanical as well because they've actually tweaked his delivery a little bit from everything I've heard. So there's been a little bit of a mechanical adjustment with Alek Manoah since he got sent down. And we'll see if it works. And if there has been some kind of mechanical adjustment, it might be tough for Detroit to pick up on it here tonight, especially, like I said, for a team that can strike out quite a bit. So here's the thing. Toronto is coming off the doubleheader yesterday. It's not a great spot. I don't want to lay minus 140 on the road with them. I'm not. I don't even trust Manoah to record the win, which is sometimes a prop I'll look at when I don't want to take the favorite. Because, what if the bullpen is gassed from yesterday, 2 games against the White Sox, and they come in and cough up the lead, which, is a possibility because that bullpen had to be used quite a bit yesterday. So I am going to go to Manoah strikeouts here. It's 4.5. It's obviously a number that's lower because, of his struggles, but it's, I think, a very fair number considering just how much Detroit's capable of swinging and missing. And especially with, I think with this mechanical adjustment that Manoah's made, it was good to see that he got back to missing bats in a couple of those minor league rehab starts. So I'm going to take my shot that we can get 5 strikeouts tonight from Alek Manoah. That's my only bet on this game. Alek Manoah over 4.5 strikeouts, -120 at BetMGM.
I like that look, Bobano.
Did you tweet out the first 5 under 5?
Me, yeah, I just tweeted it out. Under 5 even money.
Wow. I just I don't believe in the storylines and the miracles, and there's when Halladay went through this, he needed a year. So I think that the expectation of Manoah going down for 3 weeks and coming back is just.
Hey, if this is Atlanta, if this is Texas, if this is Baltimore or something like that tonight, I probably don't want any part of Manoah here. It's Detroit.
No,
okay, this is not a disciplined lineup. They swing and miss a lot. No question about that. And I think this is as good a situation. Look, you got to tip your cap to the Jays in that they're putting him with a soft landing spot here. This couldn't be much better of a matchup for him on paper than facing this Detroit Tigers lineup in his return. But now he's got to go out and get it done.
Got some great stats about the bullpen here from Detroit. That's going to be heavily used because Faedo is not going to go more than 60 pitches coming back from the fingernail issue. And he says Detroit bullpen last 70 innings pitched, 4.06 FIP, 3.55 xFIP. And then he pulled it back for the amount of innings he's gone. Okay, since June 12th, Detroit has 111 innings pitched, most in Major League Baseball. So I'm a little surprised, Jose, but you're with DJ 100 grand, so it's good company. I'm a little surprised that you guys are focusing on the under 5 rather than if you guys kind of like Manoah, then I would fade Detroit. I need to see it from Manoah before I'm going to, bet that he will succeed. But I like the way you guys are doing it, so I can, kind of live vicariously. But the gift, our man TJ, the gift is 22-11 plus 10.93 units with an ROI plus 30.3% average line -104, and he is on the Detroit Tigers. He does not believe in this bounce back opportunity here. Abracadabra. I like abracadabra, but we call our Dabby Cab that. So, but he is Faedo under, strikeouts under. Could also be a look because he'll be on the pitch count like Scooball was. Slatsy's excited. And Piker says thought that was a sharp side based on the ticket spread. There's no doubt that the sharp money is on the Detroit Tigers. Lines moved 18 cents at Pinnacle. You have 54% of the tickets on Detroit and 88% of cash. But I don't trust Faedo. That's my problem. And I know that I kind of like the first 5 under look. Even I'm not going to bet it, but just thinking that the Jays are going to be tired and then the Tigers can't hit. So.
And yeah, I'm hoping. I think Manoah can blank the Tigers through 5 innings. I really think he can. So that's why I'm saying I think the Blue Jays aren't going to score these 5 runs off Faedo and co. Hopefully, but I really think Manoah has a good start here. And then the next start when he faces an actual ball club, that's when we'll see what happens with Manoah. And I don't think I'm looking at he's not going to get another start until after the All-Star break.
Oh yeah.
So he's going to have this good start. He's going to sit on it, and I think that's how they get his confidence back. But, I think obviously we'll see here. It's like Bobano said, it's the perfect landing spot, but I 100% agree with you guys. It's fucking early. It is fucking early. They're bringing him back.
Yeah.
I thought the perfect landing spot was in the, what is it called? The correctional league, whatever it is, the 17 and 18-year-olds I thought was the perfect landing spot for him.
Well, those 18-year-olds are jacked up to go yard off of a Cy Young Award winner when maybe Manoah was just working on his fastball and shit. So I'm honestly not even particularly worried about that, to be honest.
It's exciting. I'm excited that you guys are doing it, and I am not. Cuban Wayne Gretzky says tonight's a World Series game for Manoah. 100%.
100%.
It's a well put.
It's everything for Manoah. And you know how this fucking guy is. He wants to shut everyone up. We all talk shit about him for fucking months. We called him fat. Dabby Cad calls him tubby. Fucking everything. So it's I'm excited to see all this happen.
Bobano is on Manoah over 4.5 Ks at -120. 20. Jose's on the first 5 under 5 with DJ, $100,000. And TJ's gift is the Tigers money line. Let's move on. 7:05 p.m. Eastern. Chicago Cubs 40-46, 19-24 on the road to the New York Yankees 48-40, 27-21. I feel pretty good about my Yankees under 94.5 wins at plus money, and that pick came with a lot of derision. People were all over me for it, saying you don't understand their pitching staff and blah blah blah. Now Carlos Rodon is back. So maybe will this pitching staff get stronger because they're missing a big bat in Aaron Judge. Tyon versus Rodon here, Cubs, Yankees. Tyon 2-6, 6.93 ERA, 1.52 WHIP. He's been horrific. His last start, 5 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, just 4 were earned, 1 homer, 6 Ks, no walks, 8-6 loss at home to the Guardians. On the road, he's been bad. At home, he's been bad. He's just bad. And Moose got that with me. I love it, Moose. I'm excited about it. So let's talk about Carlos Rodon. He made his last rehab start with High A Hudson Valley. They've really liked, what he's been doing in these rehab starts, but 58 pitches at High A. Boone says he'll be in the low 60 pitch range. Cheshire says Bellinger's been cashing tickets for me. Bellinger is locked in. When I watched him yesterday, I was like, my God, why the prop guys must be all over Bellinger. This is as locked in as I've ever seen him. Even his MVP, he's just locked in right now. Joe Yurgovich says Rodon is a stud. There's no doubt about that. So over the last 2 years, 1 WHIP, 2.67 ERA, and a 12.2 strikeouts, 12.2 strikeouts per 9 last 2 seasons. The Cubs are not hitting lefties, 234, 697 OPS. Yankees versus righties, 203, 637 OPS. And both bullpens have been very good. In fact, the Cubbies bullpen's been excellent, 3.01 ERA since June 1st, better than the Yankees. So 1777 more memorabilia says I would fade Rodon, but problem is Chicago. Billy Friedrich says Rodon is a stud only when he's pitching for a contract. And he's got the contract. Piker says, I like the Tyon fade angle in conjunction with Rodon enough to take the Yankees -1. Jay's final take, Yankees first 5 money line. Here we go. So let's see, first off, the weather here in New York, in the Bronx. We have 81 Fahrenheit, feels like 85, 8.6 miles per hour right to left, ties down to 6.6. See what Ballpark Pal thinks about these conditions mixed with the batters, and they like it for jacks, plus 23% home runs, minus 8% doubles and triples, plus 2% singles, plus 8% runs at Yankee Stadium. So let's take a look at the line history then next, and then we'll take the cash flow, and then we'll hand it over to Bobano. First off, with this line history, we have the Yankees opening up -163. They're now -151. Peculiar move towards the Chicago Cubs. Then we'll take a look at the total here. Of course, we've been talking about Rebenga in, all, show long, it feels like. And here's a spot with Tyon, who was not wanted by these New York Yankees in the offseason. And the Yankees brass got to feel good about that. This total opened up at 8.5. The first move 22 minutes in was to 9. So this is a similar spot as the Phillies Marlins game that went down and up and down and like big moves from full run moves, because this went up to 9, back to 8.5, and now it's sitting at 8. So this move begun to the under at about 9:55 p.m. and it was very slight. The real move, I guess, came around 9:15 this morning. So we have a move to the under and a move to the Cubs. Come over and check out this cash flow for it. And we have, here we go. We have 70% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on the New York Yankees, and the market moving towards the Chicago Cubs. I mean, that's some wild shit. Then you have 23% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on the under, and the market has now moved towards the under. Let's hear what Bobano is going to do on this spot. Take it away, Ian. Cubbies, Yankees in the Bronx.
This is a bit of a risk, but I'm going to take it. And this is another K prop. It's Rodon over 6.5 strikeouts. And I get it. Pitch count. I get it. May not be stretched out. I get it. May only go 4 or 5 innings. He may get 7 strikeouts in 4 or 5 innings. Cubs are striking out a lot. I mean, Peralta just racked up 10 against them yesterday for the Milwaukee Brewers. This guy's got great swing and miss stuff. And from what I'm reading in his rehab starts, ball's been popping for Carlos Rodon, the lefty, and obviously excited to make his Yankee debut here in this one. So again, questions about how long he's going to go and what that pitch count is going to be, but over 6.5 strikeouts and a plus money price, plus 128 at Bet99. It's a really, really good number and a price with that 6.5. So Rodon over 6.5 strikeouts. I also like Jameson Taillon. Betway has Jameson Taillon, Jimmy, over 2.5 earned runs, minus 115 at Betway. I love that bet. I definitely think the Yankees can easily get themselves 3 runs off this guy. He's got a 7 ERA. And yeah, it's very high, and his peripherals, like his xFIP, are closer to 5.8, but that's still bad. I know it's a little bit better than his overall ERA, but that's still not good. So I think he's probably going to struggle here. The Yankees coming off just an embarrassment against the Orioles last night. I don't think the Yankees are that great. We know this lineup ain't the same without Judge in it, but at the same time, I think they can hit enough to get 3 runs against Taillon in this game. So those are the 2 bets for me. 2 pitcher props, a strikeout prop for Rodon over 6.5 plus 128, and Jameson Taillon over 2.5 earned runs allowed, minus 115.
You got it locked in. It's a Canadian book up here, Bet99, and GSP is like the main guy pushing it up here. We have a ton of commercials for it, so it's very, very
edible here. But you're right, not the same thing. It's unfortunate because I know I mentioned it's got to be frustrating. I know some of our viewers and listeners, and I apologize for that, but I just rhyme off the line I bet and where I bet it, and I get it. Bet99, you guys can't bet it there. ProLine Plus, that's only an Ontario book. I've mentioned that book a bunch of times. Unfortunately, I know you can't get in on that where you guys are. But it's a product of trying to get the best number at every time you make a bet.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you. And if I had a free bet, I would just follow the market and fade the public. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to make a bet simply based on the market. I can't do that. And
see, Fanatical Jim says 70 to 80 pitches. He can get 7 strikeouts against this lineup in 70 to 80 pitches if he's on. The Cubs struck out 10 times against Peralta yesterday.
Mikey M says, like this Nerfy a lot. Great under trends and Nerfy streaks support a play on the minus 120. So Mikey on the Nerfy here. I imagine that that Taillon is going to care very much about this start. I think just think of him with that dream job pitching for the New York Yankees, and then not being there this year, not really being wanted by the squad, and I can't back him here though. And Mally Mouse says, Taillon got me 6Ks last start. Can he do it again? Joe Yurkovich on the Yankees first 3 minus half plus 115. Let's move on. I'm not on this spot here. Let's move on to a bet I wanted to make, and I just needed more market information. Even 4 hours ago, there was so little market information on this Rangers Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. I mean, Trevor Williams, if you don't use the eye test, he's a decent pitcher, and he's at home, and I don't trust Cody Bradford. And now what stopped me, obviously, is the ability of the Texas Rangers to hit righties, 270, 807 OPS first June 1st. But Moose saying this was a tough cat. Williams much better at home. Mally leaning to the over here. And Rocco Rogers saying that Yankees right-handed dominant lineup will help Taillon a lot. So Rocco Rogers here on the Rangers -1 at minus 130. But if the price was right, my thought process was that I would be interested in the Nats' first 3. I didn't want to back them for the full game. So let's roll on this one. We have 90 Fahrenheit and drizzle in Washington. So it looks like the game will be pushed back 5.7 miles per hour right to left. So it looks like this game will go a little later than planned. Mally Mouse says somehow Williams last start, he didn't give up over 3.5 runs, but gave up 3 early. LJ from Manitoba says Nationals have allowed average of 6+ runs their last 17 home games. Wow, I didn't realize it was that horrific. Mike M says Nats 4-15 straight up and run line versus a lefty. And Spenny Pennybomb saying the Rangers going to smack up Williams. Mike M says Nats on an 0-11 on the run line in the first game of a series versus a lefty at home as well. So all of those numbers don't inspire any confidence in these Washington Nationals. And they're now huge dogs. Wow, okay. This was not the case. This is something that's happened of late. Wow. So not all books had opened this up, but I'd been watching the market move, at different places. Pinnacle finally opened at 8:30 this morning at plus 143, and that's higher than the plus 137 that the other books were hanging. The first move was actually towards Washington. There wasn't a move towards Texas until this had been out for an hour and 2 minutes. And then there was a big 11-cent move towards Texas. So now we have 17 cents of movement. So there's no way I'm going to be on Nationals first three here now with a clear sign from the books that they're looking for Nationals cash. Let's take a look at the total here in this one. This total opened up at 10.5, and it didn't at Pinnacle. It opened up at 10, but they moved it to 10.5 at 10:30. And moved it back to 10. So there's been 7 cents of movement to the over. So we have a big move towards the Texas Rangers, and they move to the over. And I know you could be saying, 13 cents or whatever. It's not that big, but it's only been out for 4 hours, the line. So that's still a big move to me towards Texas. You have 96% of the tickets, 97% of cash on the Rangers. That does not interest me at all. You have 78% of the tickets and 96% of cash on the over. That does interest me somewhat. So Bradford, I don't trust him. His last appearance was July 3rd. So it's been 3 days of rest. He only went 2 1/3, but there's no way that he's going to go deep into this game. His last start was June 29th. 4 1/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, 1 homer, 8 Ks, 3 walks, and an 8-5 loss at home to the Tigers. And the Tigers are who, Bobano's using for the Manoa K prop. I mean, Bradford got 8 on him. Trevor Williams last start at the Phillies, 5 innings, 3 earned runs, 2 homers. I didn't mind it. Mally talking about the 3 earned runs that were allowed in the first inning. He kept his shit together and he played well, and he's been good at home. 3.89 ERA, 247 opponent's batting average. Mally Malik and Texas team total over 5.5. Markel says the over seems like the play. Robert Franklin on that over. And Spenny Pennybombs on Josh Young, homer at plus 330 and RBI at plus 115. So, Rangers smash righties. Nats do not hit lefties well since June 1st, 245, 690. Nats bullpen is atrocious at 5.76 ERA since June 1st. Same with the Rangers. Really bad, 4.84. I was hoping that the market was going to be stagnant on the line with all the money on the Rangers. That's not the case. Take it away, Bobano. Nationals Park, DC, Rangers, Nats.
Yeah, no doubt. And the Texas bullpen's been better lately, but they've also not had a day off in a very long time. And again, yesterday they only got 5 innings and a bit out of Eovaldi. So, that bullpen could be vulnerable. I think Texas can hit Williams. I know Williams has been okay at home at times, but you actually look, he's kind of trending in the wrong direction. He labored in, his last 2 starts. He's given up 6 runs and 14 hits in 9 innings. That's not great. He got lit up by Miami. Texas should be able to hit him. Texas is a very good lineup. They should be able to do damage. Washington's got a brutal bullpen. We saw it again yesterday. They should score runs. I think Washington can score here against Bradford as well. They haven't hit lefties lately, but their overall season numbers against lefties are still solid. Like early in the season, they were hitting lefties pretty well, Washington. Yeah. They've declined a lot lately, but I don't like what I see out of Bradford. He's fringe arm is what I see out of him. And again, with that Texas bullpen, they haven't had a day off in a long time. I think they could get hit a little bit here. So I'm on the over here. This is the first non-strikeout prop or prop of any kind that I have on this card is this game. I like over 10 minus 114 at Pinnacle.
Let's get that for you. Over 10. Are you on Pinnacle right now? Because I see minus 113 here on my site that's covering it all.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, it moved, I guess, a cent. Okay.
Okay, so let's grab that for you. Over, I'm going to take this Nats first 3 question mark off. Bobano is in. He's on the over 10. Over 10 at minus 113. Over 10 minus 113 for Bobano. I get that look, but again, it just doesn't correlate for me enough. Let's go back to what the numbers. So 78% of tickets, 96% cash on the over. What's been the movement again here? We've seen this go from. Sorry, let's get back to Penny. What did they move this total? Because we bet Chris has moved it to 10.5, and bet Chris is sharp book. So this has moved, 7 cents. Okay. I'm going to pass on that, but I can understand. And, a live over might be nice too if they can get through the first inning or the first 9 outs. I get it. Cuban Wayne Gretzky on Adolis to hit a jack. What did you get on it? Sorry. I'm not sure what you get. I'd love to know the line on that. Joe Irving says he'll be on the Nationals, just waiting for a better number. Okay. So off of this spot, Peyton Williams talking about the Braves at plus 100. We've discussed that. Moose Money says game caps multiple directions. There are a lot of Rangers starting in the All-Star game. So how much does their planning trips and activities play in the role of their game prep? Mally Mal on the over 5.5. Robert Franklin right with you on that over 10. And Moose Money says Jose calling the Rangers fade. I love that call that he's on. And I was very upset looking at my futures yesterday. I wanted to get a better idea of where I stand. I have the Astros to win the division at minus 125. I thought I had that at even money at least. I really had bad timing on that one because I could have easily got a plus 180 or a plus 200, and I didn't. Plus 310 says Cuban Wayne Gretzky in the house. Okay, so that one is in business. Bobano on the over 10. Minus 113. I certainly want to get involved in this board. I thought I would be by now. Let's talk about this spot. 7:10 p.m. Eastern. Kansas City Royals 25-63, 12-32 on the road at the Cleveland Guardians 43-44, 22-21 at home. We're at Progressive Field in Cleveland, Ohio. We have Daniel Lynch going up against Aaron Savali. These Royals are bad, and I need a sweep from the Guardians because of my plus 380 on the division bet that I want that I'm going to need pretty badly when it comes down to it. When it comes down to futures time, it's going to be an important bet for me to cash to cover some of the mistakes. But if I get the Astros to win the division and the Guardians to win the division, then at this point I can't lose. It'll be, if any other stuff cashes, it'll just be how much cash are we going to make here. Let's talk about the weather for this spot in the land. 76 Fahrenheit, 6.9 miles per hour, right to left. Then it becomes in. It blows in after an hour between 5.7 and 6.2 miles per hour. Take a look at the expectation at Progressive. Plus 3% home runs, plus 15% doubles and triples, plus 8% runs all over. I hope we do, Moose. That would make me feel much better. Except I do have the Cardinals to win the division, which is a loser. I was a poor, and I didn't even get it at the right time either, but that's just an atrocity. I know that you probably don't have that. And I didn't take the Reds at plus 450. We talked all about it yesterday. I don't want to rehash that shit. All right, let's talk about Lynch and Savali and the line history here for this one. Tribe against the Royals. The total here has been dropping. This opened up at 8.5. It lasted there until 41 minutes ago. 41 minutes ago, we had a big move on the under, 8.5 to 8. So we have a move on the under, and not early money, late money. We take a look at the money line here for this spot. We have a big move to the Kansas City Royals. Shocking. The Royals opened up at plus 168. They're now at plus 153. LJ from H-Town says the Royals are 6-17 last 23 versus the American League, 3-11 to the run line last 14 road games versus the AL. The biggest question mark here is Daniel Lynch on the road. Again, the sample size is small. So we're talking about 22 1/3 innings. If you look at his season overall, it's been really good. And he is sort of like Brady Singer, who's made us a lot of money this season, because Brady Singer's lights out at home. And it doesn't matter if he's facing the best lineup in baseball, he can get them out at home, and then he gets lit up and smoked on the road. Lynch is the same way. If you look at his 4.14 ERA, 1.23 whip, you're like, oh, he's had a pretty good season. He just, had almost a quality start against the Dodgers at home in his last start, 3 earned runs over 5 innings. On the road, though, he's allowed 15 earned runs in 22 1/3 innings. 4 jacks, 23 hits, 258 opponent's batting average. Going up against Aaron Savali, who looks good. That last start was really good. I mean, it turned out to be an extra inning win, but he only allowed 1 earned run over 6 innings at Chicago. At home, he's not been very good. Savali's had his best starts on the road, and again, we're talking about a very similar sample size as Lynch, so maybe not enough to really believe in. There's pics from Dave in the house. Great to see you. So Royals versus Reddies 225, 627 OPS. Guardians versus Reddies 287, 755 OPS. Royals bullpen 5.91 ERA since June 1st. So they're allowing 2.7 runs per game more than the Guardians over 9 innings, their bullpen. And we didn't take a look at the cash. So we know that there's been a move to the under and a move to the Kansas City Royals. Let's just see if the market's correlating with that. And it is. 11% of the tickets and 56% of the cash is on the Kansas City Royals. And then 56% of tickets and 82% of cash is on the over. And we just saw this huge move to the under half an hour ago. This is not comfortable, this game at all. This is not something I want to move on. Maybe Bobano does. Royals, Guardians. And again, I need the Guardians to win. Do I want to get in the way of this line move? Do you, Bobano?
Of course I want to get in the way of it. It doesn't make any sense. It's totally absurd, and I have no issues going against it. This is a horrible Kansas City team. The bullpen's brutal. They can't hit consistently. Daniel Lynch has actually not pitched that bad. If you look at the last 3 starts, he's given up 4 runs in his last 18 innings. It's pretty good, but he has not fared well against Cleveland. 3 starts in his career against the Guardians. He's given up 15 runs in 11.2 innings against Cleveland. He's been absolutely terrible against them. Now, maybe there's a different version of Daniel Lynch. So he's ready to pitch better. Cleveland's hit or miss against lefties, and we know that lineup can be a little shaky. But even if Lynch pitches well and keeps them in the game, that bullpen is a tire fire right now for the Royals. You see what happened last night? That game was close, and then Cleveland just mashed that horrible Royals bullpen late in the game. And the one thing about Lynch is he doesn't pitch deep into games either. I mean, you're still only getting, for the most part, 5 or 6 innings out of him. So you're going to see that Royals bullpen again. Savale, hasn't been great at times, but he's been better lately. And if you look at the last few starts, he's actually given up 2 runs or less 4 of his last 5 starts. So he's starting to find a groove. He's won each of his 2 starts in the past against Kansas City last year. Gave up 5 runs in 12 innings pitched against Kansas City, 6-3, 9-2 home victories for Cleveland against Kansas City with Savale on the mound. Here.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry about that. Yeah,
No.
Cleveland -1, -122 at Pinnacle. That's the official play.
You got it. And it looks like the mic switched off as well. So let's get that back rolling if possible. I just sent you the action there, TJ, from the squad on that Atlanta game that I copied and pasted, but I'm not on it. Jose, I was right copy and pasting the action there for TJ. Was Bobano on the -1 or is he on the here? He's back in action. And stay with us for a second, Jose, because I do have a question for you. Bobano, what was the exact spot there, my friend?
Yeah, full game run line for Cleveland. So Cleveland -1. -122 at Pinnacle.
-1, so not -1.5, -1.
-1. Well, I definitely want the full game because the bullpen edge is huge in favor of Cleveland. Huge.
You got it.
Yep.
Joe Yerger is looking at KC +0.5. I guess that's first 5 action, a +105. Guardians -1 and -122 for Bobano. Morgan Spooner on the first 5 run line for Kansas City. Are you fading the Texas Rangers today, Jose?
I definitely thought about it. I'm not. I'm leaving them be. I'm just watching them lose. It's funny. And by the way, there's suddenly just a gigantic crop of just Rangers fans everywhere. Just people being like, "Oh, this fucking idiot! What a donation! The Rangers are gonna make the playoff." Where the fuck did all these Rangers fans come from? What the fuck? These guys, it's crazy. But no, I mean, I'm a gigantic Blue Jays guy now because of this as well. So let's up the Blue Jays here.
I looked really closely at your future, but I got the same thing when I did the video with Sharpie saying I gave the Texas Rangers a D for their offseason signings, and I said DeGrom wasn't going to last the season, and I got hammered in the video. So it's just
I don't know why that one. It's hilarious to find all these fucking Rangers fans coming out of nowhere. It's weird, but I definitely thought about it.
They do have to do something with their starting pitching though at the deadline. They've got to add another arm. They can't just
and like
survive
4
on
bullpen arms. Their bullpen's horrible. Their bullpen is so bad.
Yeah.
But I definitely thought about like a Nationals team total though. because I too don't trust Cody Bradford. The Nationals are okay against hitting lefties. And again, their bullpen is horrible. You know, we're going to get 4 innings of Cody Bradford here today, and then we're going to get the parade of slapdick coming out there. I would much rather take a team total there, but I have not on it yet.
Thank you, Jose, and even LJ, even our good friend LJ, thinking that you are in the wrong. I liked your bet. I went over everything last night for a while thinking about jumping on, but I decided my Astros to win the division is enough of a belief in your action there. Let's roll on. Let's roll on here. The next spot on the board, Jose, come right back to us. Oakland Athletics at the Boston Red Sox. And our guy, Justin McElvey, has given us Devers RBI and says if it doesn't cash, $50 dono on Jose's show tomorrow, putting his money where his mouth is. I love Justin McElvey.
The Sabino callback was great. I fucking started crying, laughing again, thinking about Sabino. I wonder where he is.
He said we would never see him again.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, and I trust him. I would have fucking he would have dipped. I forgot what the bet was, but I'm pretty sure it's Mets related.
And should be TJ said it should be if it does cash. No, I kind of like the way it is here. Sabino and Barry Smith are the same, but no, Sabino Anguano was only positive to us. He's a wonderful, sweet, kind man. So
I love Sabino. Fuck Barry Smith though.
No, you know what? It's just part of the game. You're gonna get negativity. It's just part of the game. And
yeah,
you know.
I use Barry Smith as my fuel. And then again, the random person that texted me one night just out of the blue that my pick sucks. I still can't believe that someone has my number.
Your home number.
Yeah, I don't know. They just texted me out of the blue one day. Your picks suck.
Oh, I have got a couple emails over the years that have been the most horrific things I've ever heard. Where I was like, do I need to watch where I walk? You know, do I need to keep 6? You know,
yeah, that's why I feel about during Pubblepalooza. I'm like, damn, everyone's coming down here. Did I say anything fucked up?
People are vicious, man. Like really, just miserable at times. It's especially in this day and age. It's unbelievable.
But let's get back to work. A's, Red Sox here, Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. Let's go over to the weather here, and we will start with the Fenway Park Swish Analytics. We have 82 Fahrenheit, 8.1 to left, drops down to 6.9, and isn't too sticky. Ballpark Pal, though, has a plus 1% home run rate, plus 19% doubles and triples, plus 11% runs. Your fade of the over move was a thing of beauty yesterday, Jose. That was a very nice under. A's Red Sox here. Let's take a look at the line history. Luis Medina versus a very interesting combination, and we expect that to be Brennan Bernardino and the great Brandon Walter, right?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because Walter pitched yesterday. I'm fairly certain. So I just do not trust Alex Cora with his bullshit anymore on his bullpen days. Because the other day, I forgot who it was. It was a bullpen day, and it was supposed to be Chris Murphy. I'm pretty sure this is the Rangers game they lost, the first game. And then he threw fucking Caleb Ort, and Caleb Ort fucking dragged his fucking disgusting pubic sack all over me and gave up a 3-run home run and lost the game for us, basically, in the second inning. So I don't know who's going to come in. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this was Brandon Bernardino and Nick Pivetta. So I don't know.
Nick Pivetta has been used in a long role recently, by the way. At the Toronto game last week, we saw it. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
And definitely he's a lot better reliever. Nick Pivetta is a lot better than Nick Starter Pivetta.
Yeah.
Can you confirm that Walter pitched yesterday?
Yeah, I'll double check for us
here. Here we go. A's, Red Sox. Take a look at the line history here and see what we are dealing with. First off, this total is high. It opened up at 10.5 minus 107 to the under. Now, this didn't come out till 8:30 this morning because of the question marks around who the Red Sox were pitching, but there's been a 2-cent move to the over since 8:30 this morning. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one.
He pitched an inning yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. For the line history here, we have a move towards the Red Sox. They opened up at minus 220. They're now minus 239. That's interesting because this morning I was curious that the move hadn't happened. The initial move was towards the A's. And if anybody's watched Luis Medina pitch, it's shocking that anything would move towards the A's. TJ says Sox should not be minus 230 versus anyone. He says he'll sprinkle on the A's at plus 200. And yes, I hear that. I watched Luis Medina pitch in person. He's atrocious, but that was a nice start last out for him. 7-4 win at home versus the White Sox, 5 innings, 1 earned run, still 5 walks. He had 7 walks against the Jays. So this year he's got 31 walks.
7 walks?
Yeah, against the Jays. I mean, I'm just saying that offhand. I don't like. I was just watching, and I thought that's what I saw. That I'm almost certain. I'm almost certain that
I need to look it up again.
I was.
Yeah, you're right. 7 walks in one game is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was atrocious.
Fucking bad is what it is. Yeah, terrible.
I was heavy on the sauce there, cheering Ella's favorite pitcher, Yusei Kikuchi. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun that day. It was so much fun. Brendan Bernardino going to start off. He's been great. But if Walter comes in, Walter pitched yesterday, so he's only going to go 1 inning, I guess, again, 26th rounder out of the University of Delaware. Shout out to our razor sharp picks, big Delaware fan. Brandon Walters been absolutely atrocious in Worcester, but he's been pretty good in the short sample size up in the big leagues. The A's versus righties, 234, 666, and June 1st versus lefties, atrocious, 182, 564. But now we know that Walter going yesterday, they won't go very long, which means, did Ort go yesterday? I mean, is there another Ort?
God damn it. He did not go yesterday because the Red Sox won. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we went Bernardino, Ort, Nick Pivetta here. Wow. And Caleb Ort is the Red Sox love to have just one reliever that everyone can collectively just shit on. It used to be Ryan Brazier. Now it's Caleb Ort. The fucking dude is horrible.
Well, are you moving on Oakland Athletics, Boston Red Sox, Jose?
Unfortunately, I'm not, and that's why I jumped on earlier, and it's so I can give out a play here at least, because as I forgot who said in the chat already, but the Red Sox should not be minus 240 here. Like that's ridiculous. The Red Sox continue to be the most average team in all of baseball. They're going to finish at 82 and 82, whatever the fuck. I can't wait. It's going to be ridiculous. But I don't know what to expect here. Honestly, like I said, I don't trust Alex Cora and I don't trust RotoWire when they say Brandon Walters is going to be a primary again. I personally wouldn't be surprised if we saw Nick Pivetta again. So. And obviously the A's are bad, but again, the Red Sox are 100% a team that plays up to their competition and down to their competition. That is the definition of the Boston Red Sox this year. I'm actually going to look up their record against 500 ball clubs because I know it's a good record. I can almost guarantee that. And then they just fucking suck against everyone else. Red Sox against teams that are above 500 this year, they're 35 and 29. So I just want nothing to do with them in big favorite roles. Totals wise, I lean under for almost every Red Sox game here, but I had really no feel on this game either. I can't believe 7 fucking walks. That's crazy. I'll tell you this though, Jimmy. You mentioned this probably already. Totals wise for the money and market here, 57% of the bets and 99% of the money on the over. That alone makes you want to bet the under here as well. And we've talked about this yesterday. I should look back and see here. But those gigantic spots, I just feel like they never fucking cash, and it's definitely one of those things very interesting.
I hadn't mentioned that yet. Thank you for bringing it to our attention because only a 2-cent move.
Yeah, under would be my play here. And just to illustrate that point even further, yesterday, Jimmy, the Blue Jays game, and I can't tell. I think this is the second one, I believe, here. And that was the Barrios Lynn start.
That was the first one, game 1.
Yeah, okay, the first one, excuse me. So then it's the first one. 64% of bets and 89% of the tickets on the over. And
I actually enjoyed that game. It was refreshing to see just an old-fashioned 0-0 game after 9 innings. That was fun.
I was certain. Like we know the lineups that Lynn's going to shut down. It's the lineups without good lefties. I mean, he's so easy to cap now. We should all make money off of him every start. But I didn't realize that Barrios needed that day off or the.
That was a dual strikeout prop game for me, Jimmy. Barrios and Lynn yesterday. Yep.
Oh,
so there
nice.
we go.
Well, take it away here, Bobano. A's, Red Sox. What's your move?
This is tricky because 10.5. I lean over full game, but I don't know what Oakland's going to do offensively. Boston can sometimes, as Jose knows, be very schizophrenic and erratic with their lineup. And but I like what I saw at times from them against Texas. I like the approach yesterday against Diavoli. They made him work, and he struggled. He labored throughout that start for the Texas Rangers last night. I'm going to zone in on fading the funky cold Medina here tonight in this game and really hone in on early that Boston can do some damage here because he's been beyond bad. He's at the point now where until he shows me something, he's worth a bet against and fading each time. So I have two props involving Medina here tonight. Over 3.5 earned runs allowed, minus 105 at Betway. So that's Luis Medina over 3.5 earned runs allowed, minus 105 at Betway. And I'm also, and look, you Jose mentioned it. And I'm going to mention it now. He's had 12 walks in his last 2 starts combined. 12. He had 7 in that start that Jose referenced against Toronto. And in the last start against the White Sox, he had 5. So this guy's control and command is completely all over the place. So I'm going to take Luis Medina over 2.5 walks at plus 112 at Botano. So that's over 2.5 walks plus 112 at Botano. So there you go. Those are my 2 bets. 2 Medina bets. Over 3.5 earned runs, over 2.5 walks.
That's fucking crazy. Over 2.5 walks. That's just nuts.
Yeah, that is wild that they're hanging that number.
By the way, Jimmy, I'm going to make it official. The under here. I've again, TJ.
Did you see the stat from TJ in the chat?
Yeah, it's a great stat. I think he said
Holy
22-3 with when there's like 90 or less than 3% of the cash on an over under.
This is what Nutflush has been saying, and he wanted us to start tracking. He's been saying that nonstop. That the 3% or less or 5% or less, or he was saying anything 9% or less really has just been cashing.
No, and we talked about it. Like I remember distinctly, it was like Cardinals Rangers or some shit like that. And it was Adam Wainwright versus Martin Perez. Everyone was expecting over, and then it was 99% of the money, and I bet the under there, and I cashed just laughing away. So I definitely agree with that. So I'll be on the under 10.5 here.
I wanted the Red Sox team total a little bit in this game over, but 6.5, man, no bargain. No bargain.
No, that's a huge number. Jesus. Under 10.5, we get that for you at minus 102.
Cool.
Minus 102. Let's
lock that. I only have unders. By the way, Jim, you mentioned this earlier. I was very close because everyone knows my issues with the Phillies. Haven't bet them since June 15th. Very close to moving on the Phillies team total today. Sandy Alcantara, historically bad against the Phillies. If you look at all of his starts, even last year, it was like 2 earned runs. Then he went to the bank, 5 earned runs. I laid off just because he's at home, but a stay off game for that there. But it's going to be a fun game. I've only got unders on the card here, and we're going to keep chipping away with Connor Mack. So
TJ says you should really wait for the 11, Jose, but there's only been a 2-cent move to the over.
Yeah, is it going to move?
I mean, Pavetta's got a 2.63 ERA, by the way, in a long relief role since he started that, I think in late May. And I think as a starter, his ERA was like 5 or 6. So if he's going to be the bulk, pitcher in this game for the Boston Red Sox, that probably helps the under.
Oh, TJ doesn't think that's going to go to 11 at this point. From what we've seen from the market, I mean, it still could, obviously, but what we've seen, so he deleted that. Okay.
But no, Pavetta's, I think, will go here, and I think Nick Penvetta is a lot better than most of the options we've got in there.
I love it. Let's roll on because I want action, and we're one game away from a double up spot that I've already bet, but I've not added anything on this card. Thank God you guys are hammering away. Let's move on. Thank you, Jose. 8:10 p.m. Eastern. Baltimore Orioles and Minnesota Twins. We're at Target Field, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we have Cole Irvin going up against Bailey Ober, 2 pitchers that just faced each other 5 days ago, and I overthink these things. I just have this bad ROI on pitchers who just faced each other. And this year I've been trying just to stay off of it. And this is a spot, a lot of people think there's zigzag thing. I mean, there's so many, I just overthink these things. And these two pitchers just shoved when they faced each other. And this is fascinating splits from Cole Irvin. So let's break down this one. First, we'll start off with the weather in Minneapolis. The weather, let's get over to Target Field in Minneapolis. I don't know why it's not. Here we go. 72 Fahrenheit, 9.6 miles per hour to left field, gets up to 10.2 miles per hour. We go over to Ballpark Pal. We have Minnesota minus 8% home runs, plus 1% doubles and triples, plus 1% runs. So not much going on here. Mike M says Ober and his undertrend lives on tonight. But Mickey Cohen took the over 8 here. Why don't we take a look at the line history, and we'll start with that total because it's fresh on the topic of discussion. We have this total opening up at 8.5 last night at 6:30. And then it started moving towards the under, even though it was heavily juiced to the over 8.5. But that flipped at midnight. It moved to 9. Lasted there for 3 hours and 10 minutes before it went back to 8.5. So right now we have no movement on the total. No movement at all on this total. Now I got the Guardians and the Orioles both to win the division. So obviously my futures are starting to get in the way of my action, which just happens here. There's our guy, Lamont Williams. We have not seen Lamont since he gave us the best bet on Tuesday. His best bet on Tuesday was the Pittsburgh Pirates, his max bet. And the Pirates won that game 9-7 in the bottom of the 9th. I think that was the final score. Maybe it was, but Lamont, that was fucking money in the bank. And you saved me. I went 5-0 on Tuesday, and it was because of you, really, Lamont. I would have gone 5-1. I was thinking about the Dodgers. So he's got max bet Milwaukee K's over 6.5. Let me figure that out here. But there's my guy KD in the house as well. Joe Yerk says, it's 31-11 road run line. So ridiculous. It must regress. So we saw that there's been a move. Sorry, let me just pull that up again. Sorry, Lamont just brought me back to that spectacular. So there's been no move on the total. Okay, there we go. There's been no move on the total. Let's take a look at this money line. This money line opened up with the Twinkies minus 142. They're now minus 140. That's interesting because this came out at 6:26 p.m. and by 11:46 p.m. there'd been an 18-cent move to the Twins. So the public has come in and started betting the Orioles. Like Professor Chris has said, and he's cashed all year with, he says, bet the Orioles every day, So here we go. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. And then we'll be able to hand it over to Bobano. For the cash flow, we have 60% of tickets, 83% of cash on the Twins, and now no movement. Then we have 70% of tickets and 79% of cash on the over. Cole Irvin has terrible numbers, 6.32 ERA, 1.69 whip, but he's had a few good starts in a row, but they've all come at home. Over 31 in the third innings, he's only throwing 9 in the third at home. He's only throwing 9 in the third on the road. And on the road, he's allowed 10 earned runs in the 9 in the third and 16 hits. 10 Ks, 4 walks, 4 homers. Bailey Ober coming off another great start at these Orioles. Again, these pitchers just faced each other in the same game, that 1-0 win for Minnesota. He went 7 innings, allowed 8 Ks, no walks. He looked so good. At home, he's been a little worse than he's been on the road. At home, 3.18 ERA, 231 opponents batting average, 39 strikeouts, 10 walks, 7 jacks. Orioles versus righties, 258, 754. Here's the biggest difference in the game is that the Twinkies, they can't hit lefties. 215, 645 OPS since June 1st. And the Twins bullpen has been over 0.98 runs better than the Orioles bullpen over 9. TJ says, everything says fade Irvin on the road, but can we trust the Twins lineup to score even against him? Mike M says faves between minus 150 to minus 180 and off a sweep are 51-14 straight up and 39-26 on the run line. Now, this is the Twinkies, and I know I don't talk about what happened yesterday because it doesn't help my capping, but this is a team that got swept by the Braves and then had yesterday off. There's Brant Hunt in the house. Nice to see you, Brant Hunt, my guy. We've missed you. Moose Money says Irvin has a xERA 8.56. TJ says, so why is the first 5 at 5? And look at Brizzy. NBA Summer League play today. Toronto Raptors money line. Hey, Dick backing our guy Grady Dick. Take it away, Bobano. What are your thoughts here in Orioles Twinkies?
Yeah, this is it's probably going to be a pass for me. It probably is. I mean, I'm tempted by Baltimore. Irvin's actually been very good, but you mentioned all the good starts have been at home, and on the road it's been a horror show much of the season for him. So that being said, I do think Baltimore will have a better approach against Ober as opposed to the last time he faced them last week. He was at pitch to gem, 7-inning shutout against the Baltimore Orioles. But I think Orioles will have a better approach. And at the same time, though, as much as I'm tempted by that price, it's Irvin on the road. It's the Orioles coming off a very satisfying 14-1 drubbing of their division rival New York Yankees, who they're battling with to stay, at second in the division right now. It's not a great spot. Now you're traveling to play Minnesota. So lean Baltimore, but I'm going to decide to pass.
Quickly, Lamont, can you is that I'm guessing from what your max bet is that you're expecting the Brewers to strike out over 6.5 times, or is that Milwaukee's pitcher? Is that Corbin Burns? I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to get it wrong.
Yep.
So if you could let us know, Lamont, exactly what that is. TJ says Baltimore plus 145 available at Brothrow is tempting. Is there enough of a sample size with what we've seen from Cole Irvin on the road? Look, I don't have that answer, and it makes me uncomfortable. So, and look, we know that the books are, actively trying to beat us and not looking for 50-50 action. And so for them to set, a total up here, or even a first 5 total so high, I mean, it's after this 1-0 game these two pitchers pitched. Justin McAfee says Burns K-prop is my guess. So it's mine. And Billy Friedrich saying the Burns K-prop is at 6.5. That must be what it is, because Billy Friedrich saying Abbott's at 7.5. That has to be Burns. Yeah, you're right. You guys figured it out. Yeah, it's Corbin Burns over. Okay. Corbin Burns over 6.5. So let's get into that spot right now. The Corbin Burns over 6.5 Ks for Lamont Max bet. Thank you, Lamont. Finally, I'm sorry that I've been on the shelf. Thank God that we've had Bobano firing away. But finally, I bet these last night. I thought there was going to be a lot more action for me, and there's still time, and there's spots that I still like. But I doubled up on the first 3 under 2.5 and the first 5 under 4.5. This is playoff baseball, and the first time Cincinnati's been in this type of a divisional game in a long time. And the Brewers just played really important baseball against the Cubs in the divisional matchup, and they're ready to go. And I still don't trust the Brewers bullpen. And now I don't even know if you can trust Devin Williams at this point, who at one point was the best closer in the league, and maybe he still is, but he doesn't look very good. Justin McElvey says Brewers series minus 120 on his card. Mike M saying Andrew Abbott is crushing it as a starter right now. And so I took last night, I bet the first 3 under 2.5 at minus 130, and I smashed the market move on the first 5. I got under 4.5 at minus 120. I could have got on the full game over and beat that market move too, but I didn't. I chose not to. Billy Friedrich says Abbott faced the Brewers at home on June 5th and went 6 innings, gave up 0 earned runs. And that could help the Brewers. But look at what the Brewers are doing with lefties. A little better now, 247, 722. And the Reds are hitting righties, 265, 810. I really like this to be sold out at American Family Field in Wisconsin. And I like it to be exciting and every pitch mattering. And I like the under. So when I woke up this morning, Bet365 had moved it to 4, but it was still heavily juiced to the over. It was a plus 105 to the under. So I didn't feel like that was that big of a move. And the first 3 under 2.5 hadn't moved. And I was like, how is this possible? So now the first 5 is at 4 minus 105 to the under. 115 to the over. So now I can say, yes, I beat that market move badly. But I really want to beat this first 3 under 2.5. I want to see like 15 cents of movement, and I'm seeing 10 cents of movement. So it's now first 3 under 2.5 minus 140. Look, I'll take that. Mike M says, I don't know why people are still fading the Reds. Stove is hot. It's glowing orange. Don't touch it. Says our guy. Billy Friedrich says, if that stadium is sold out, the bathrooms will be full of fried fish that swam downstream. Friday fish fries in Scone, says Billy Friedrich. So here we go. Let's talk about the roof will be open. It was open last night. It doesn't matter that much, but it will be open. 72 Fahrenheit. Perfect night for baseball. 7.6 miles per hour in. That's down to 5.3. We'll see what Ballpark Pal thinks about that in Milwaukee. They have it at plus 3% home runs, minus 4% runs. I'll take that. And Gagnon said, Brewers are fairly hot too, and it's a division game. Might not be smart to fade the Reds, but I'm a little wary to get them here. Interesting. And Spenny Penny Bombs is on Ellie De La Cruz, stolen base, plus 175, has a stolen base in 3 straight games. Says, kids getting hot again. Ride the train. So let's take a look at the line history then. And I hope this just gives me more confidence, because at this point, not a lot of action for me today. Sorry, where's the other? What the hell did I do the other one? Okay, it must be up here. Okay, but first off, God, I can't find it. Whatever. Here we go. So for the line history on the Burns versus Abbott start, we have the Brew Crew opening up minus 122. They're now minus 109. 14-cent move to the Cincinnati Reds. 14-cent move to the Reds. And I must have ditched that. God damn it. Okay, so let me just go over here with the total. I don't know how that happened, but I don't have that up anymore. For the total in this one opened up at 8.5. It was opened up at Pinnacle at 8, though. Bet Online opened it at 8.5 at about 250 and 230. Pinnacle opened this line at 618 at 8 as a pick'em on either side. It moved to 7.5 at 825 this morning, and that 7.5 is now minus 104. So a real legit. We have 2 legit moves, one to the Reds and one to the under. And Billy Friedrich saying the Reds have won all 6 games that Abbott has started this season. So with that being said, let's take a look at the cash flow then for this one. Cash flow wise, we have 38% of the tickets and 53% of the cash on the Milwaukee Brewers. Those are some bigger bets on the Brewers, but the market has no concern. Then we have 43% of tickets, 79% of cash on the under. God, that's fucking heaven to me. That's exactly where I want to be. Take it away for us here. Oh, sorry. Let me talk a little bit about these pitchers. Andrew Abbott, 4.0, 1.21 ERA. He's been spectacular. 0.88 whip, 4 home runs allowed in 37 and a third. His last start at home versus the Padres, another spectacular effort. 12 strikeouts, 1 walk, 7 2/3, allowed 1 earned run. It was a solo shot. On the road in 17 2/3, he's allowed 1 earned run. Now his K to walk ratio probably not where he wants at 14-8, but a 177 opponent's batting average. And Corbin Byrne coming off a great performance at the Pirates. 7 innings, 1 hit, 2 earned runs. He's not being that good this year. He took a lot of heat in the offseason. And there was a story where the Brewers were saying that Burns was the reason why they didn't make the playoffs. This is a huge game here for Burns at home, and I think he steps up. I'm not going to get in the way of the Reds, but I think that the unders are alive. I tweeted this out last night. I hope you beat the line move with me. Reds versus righties and Bruins versus lefties we went over, and the bullpens are pretty much a wash. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Finally, a game that I've got action on. Brew Crew at home to the Reds.
I have 4 bets on this game. 4. I have the Reds first 5 full game split. It's just they're a dog in this matchup. I'm on it. And I love Andrew Abbott, the lefty. I really do. He's got great stuff. He shut down the Brewers already once this season. Now, I know it's a second look, but I expect him to pitch very well here tonight. And look, the Reds bullpen we know is their weakness, but Milwaukee's bullpen hasn't been as good lately. So, again, I'm going to split it up because, there's still that bullpen vulnerability, if you will, that bullpen, variance, if you will. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati plus 115, first 5, bet 365, Cincinnati plus 105, full game at Pinnacle. And I'm also on this K props for both of these starting pitchers here tonight. I think both of them can get over that. Milwaukee's not only a huge team in terms of striking out against overall, but against lefties especially. Terrible striking out the way they are. And we know they're bad against lefties all season for the most part. And I think you're going to see that show up here again tonight. So team that strikes out quite a bit against lefty pitching. So Andrew Abbott over 7.5 strikeouts plus 115, plus 118. Let me correct that. Plus 118 at FanDuel for Andrew Abbott over 7.5 strikeouts. But I'm also on Corbin Burns here over 6.5 strikeouts at DraftKings minus 140. I do think both pitchers pitch pretty well. I think it's an important start for Burns. Reds, for as great as that lineup's been, and it's been everybody, right? India's chipping in. Fraley's been big. Spencer Steer's been great. Tyler Stevenson, a good hitting catcher. Votto has even been drinking from the fountain of youth. And we know, of course, Ellie De La Cruz, what he's done. So it's been a little bit of everybody in this Reds lineup. But I think Burns will pitch well enough. And look, this could also be a game. Maybe Burns does give up 3, 4, 5 runs, and he'll still get 7 strikeouts, which he's more than capable of. So there you go. Cincinnati first 5 full game split. Abbott over 7.5 strikeouts plus 118, and Burns over 6.5 strikeouts minus 140.
I love it. I got it all locked in, and you are also correlated with our guy Lamont Williams' max bet, which is on Corbin Burns over 6.5 Ks right with you. And I got the first 3 under 2.5 and the first 5 under 4.5. Let's roll. I love it. This next spot, I almost made the same bets. I was going to have to take the first 3 down to 2, and I got cold feet. I got cold feet because of Luis Castillo. I got cold feet because of some of the times I've seen Hunter Brown labor. Now, even when he's laboring, he gives you max effort. And, even I've watched him kind of struggle, and still like that 99th pitch, that 100th pitch is as high as a velocity as he's had, all game. But I did not move on it. By the way, TJ is on Milwaukee to win the series minus 120 big. And Joe Yerger says Reds are the play here. Reds better offense, better starter, and a hot team. And picks from Dave says, if you put the Mariners first 5 money line every game this season when Luis Castillo is pitching, you'd be down over 6 units. Wow. That's wildly interesting. And I get it. When you're about to bet something, I probably spent an hour just sitting on this game, deciding whether I wanted to move on it, and I couldn't do it. We're in Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas. We know the roof's going to be closed. Beautiful pitching matchup between Castillo and Brown. Let's go right to the line history here. Even though the total is what I'm most interested in, let's start with the money line. The money line started here with the Astros minus 111. They're now minus 109. So a slight move towards the Mariners from plus 103 to plus 100, on that side. From a total standpoint, this opened up. Where are we? Here we go. This opened up at 8 at Bet Online, but it opened up at 7.5 at Pinnacle. 7.5 minus 113 to the over, and it started moving to the under immediately. Not big, but moving towards them. So this opened up as plus money to the under 7.5. By 9 in the morning, it was minus 106, and then minus 108, and then at 9:12 minus 116, at 9:20 minus 118, and that was the peak. It even got down to minus 112 at 12:08 p.m. And then 1 minute ago, there was a 4-cent move to the under at 7.5. So I was looking at the first 5 at 4. I've been watching the Mariners bullpen fall apart, even though they've been a little better over the last couple of weeks. And I've been watching the Astros bullpen underwhelm. LJ from H-Town says, Trilogy stat of the day. Astros are 21-1 since 2021 is a minus 114 or higher fave coming off a 4-run loss with no rest. Astros -1. And the ribeye play of the day is in. Wow, this is fun. And also Rocco Rogers on Brown plus 6Ks and Gallon plus 4K parlay. Let me copy and paste all of this so we can peruse it. This is going to be a really fun matchup here.
Just my initial thought of Mike M's ribeye play of the day. That's a good price on a guy that's been raking lately. Kyle Tucker's really been hitting well lately. So
hasn't he?
190. Wow.
He's been so good. All of a sudden, this Astros offense has a lot of depth, But let's take a look at the cash. I think that could illuminate some spots for us here if we want to pull the trigger. We have 66% of the tickets and 84% of the cash on the Astros, and the line's not moving towards them. So then do we take the heart, what picks from Dave told us about backing Castillo first 5? We have 48% of tickets and 93% of cash on the under. We've seen a 20-cent move, and we know what's going to happen if it moves to 7. People are going to hammer the over, and the books don't probably want to do that. I don't see anyone hanging a 7 right now. Moose says Castillo had a dominant stretch from the second half of 2021 up through the first half of last year. Other than that stretch, there's been wild inconsistency. Picks from Dave says no fade Castillo, but Mally Mal took Seattle. There's Bobby Boucher in the house. Great to see you, my man. Love capping with you, Bobby Boucher. So let's talk about, well, first off, ribeye play of the day. Let's take a second to celebrate greatness. Mike M is 12-10 with the ribeye play of the day, and it's up over 10.05 units. So thank
12
you,
and
Mike.
10 at all plus prices. Keep that in mind.
Huge plus prices, yeah. So thank you, Mike, for sharing your hard work with us, and you're a big part of the team here. Then let's move on to Castillo. Last start, 7-6 win at home versus the Rays. 6 runs, 4 earned. Did not look very good. On the road, he's 0-4 with a 4.24 ERA and a 250 opponent's batting average. He's allowed 8 jacks in 34 innings. Then you have Hunter Brown, who's a very good young pitcher. But his last start got lit up and smoked in a 5-2 loss at the Rangers. Now, he only allowed 3 earned runs in the 4 innings, but he allowed 10 hits. He's a battler. Like, I love the character of this kid. And you'll see him in his 100th pitch when he's sort of laboring, hit his highest velocity. I love him. But, he's not being lights out, and he's not being that good at home. 4.12 ERA, opponents hitting 253 off. Now only 2 jacks and 39 in the third. Mariners hitting 223, 707 OPS versus righties, while the Astros are hitting 257, 60. Again, those are from June 1st. And both bullpens have been, as I said, underwhelming. Take it away for us, Bobano. Here we go. A big, big AL West game, Mariners, Astros.
I feel like this is the second, or not more than that, probably the third or fourth game maybe on this card where I've got both starters over their K prop again here in this game. That's what I'm on. Castillo for Seattle. He's actually not pitched that bad against Houston in the past. 9 runs over 20 innings isn't terrible. More than anything, he's actually struck out Houston quite a bit in the starts he's made against them. And in 9 of the last 10 starts for Castillo, he's gone over 5.5 strikeouts, which is his K-prop number here in this game. And of course, he had 7 in a start last year against Houston. So, I think this is the game where, again, we have seen a little bit more vulnerability to the strikeout for, we don't think of Houston as a team that strikes out a lot historically. Very disciplined, very good at the plate, good approach, but they have struck out a little bit more lately. So I'm on Castillo over 5.5 strikeouts, -122 at FanDuel. And Hunter Brown, I think I've been on this show a bunch of times already where I've been on when Hunter Brown's pitched, and I've been on his strikeout prop, and I am back to it here once again tonight. Hunter Brown over. You got to lay some juice. This one's a little pricey. It's over 5.5, -150 at Betway for Hunter Brown over strikeouts, but I like it quite a bit. Seattle is one of those teams that when they go up against a power pitcher, a lot of times they just whiff over and over again. This is someone that's been trending over 5.5 strikeouts in most of his recent starts. I think he's only fallen below this twice in his last 10 starts. Hunter Brown. Seattle against right-handed pitching, they're among the worst in terms of striking out. So I think it's a well-pitched game both ways. Certainly would lean under a little bit. The one thing is the bullpens on both sides haven't been consistent or nearly as good. But I'm going to focus on these 2 pitchers dueling out the K's tonight. Both of them, I think, should. Castillo and Brown.
You got it locked in. Nothing really appeals to me, and I'm thankful that I didn't pull the trigger after staring at it for so long. Look, I see the sharp money on the under, but again, I would have had to have, and I'm going to start doing that. By the way, I'm going to start moving the 2.5s down to 2 in the first 3s that I'm confident in, and made that decision yesterday. Billy Friedrichs on the first 5 under 4, and that was it. That was the spot that I came very close to betting, and I did not, and I'm okay with it. I think there's enough question marks around these 2 starters that I'm okay with it. Here's another bet: finger on the trigger, and couldn't pull it, and that is the first 5 under in St. Louis Chicago White Sox. I just wanted more information from the market but came very, very close. So let's talk about this one. Cardinals 36-51, 19-26 on the road at the Chicago White Sox 37-52, 20-23 at home. We're at Guaranteed Rate Field in Chicago, Illinois. Tired White Sox club and probably had their beating heart ripped out of their chest in that 11th inning, especially after that beautiful start by Lance Lynn. And, from the White Sox side of things, look, Lance Lynn had a ton to his value in that start. So let's throw up the weather situation here in Chicago. And God, I like seeing baseball in the stadium because it doesn't make me as angry at the Rogers Center. These are two shit stadiums. And then Camden, of course, built a year after this one and changes the face of all stadiums. 73 Fahrenheit, 5.8 miles per hour left to right in between 5.8 and 4.7 miles per hour. Let's take a look at what Ballpark Pal thinks about this spot here. And they have 12% plus 12% home runs plus 2% runs in St. Louis, Chicago. Let's go over to the line history here. We will start with the money line and see what we get. And we have very little movement here. If there has been any movement, it just happened. This opened up with the White Sox at minus 104. They got it to minus 108 last night. Since then, there's been a 10-cent move to the Cardinals. So the Cardinals are now, I'll just stick with White Sox. White Sox are now plus 102. Cards are minus 110. So 6 cents of movement towards the St. Louis Cardinals. Then we'll go over to the total here in this one. Cease versus Montgomery. And again, 5 cents of movement now. Initially, there was no movement. There was 3 cents of movement at 8:30 this morning. Again, this came out at 10:09 p.m. last night. They waited for the doubleheader to be done. So right now there's been 5 cents of movement to the full game. We know that this White Sox bullpen is taxed after the double dip yesterday. Let's just see what the first 5 is, because this is what I was looking at. This first 5 under opened up at minus 101, now minus 115. And it was 12 minutes ago where there was a huge move to the under. Wow. So then let's see what Bet365, if they moved with it, because that was just 12 minutes ago. I bet you they did not. Montgomery versus Cease, their first 5 is at a pick'em minus 110. So that's 5 cents of value here. I get money in the house. Thank you for joining us. So, and Billy Fraser says at least Joe Kelly's on the IL. Moose Money says Cease a full run lower ERA at home. Billy Fraser says Cease has pitched well, but always gets screwed by the pen. Cease has not figured in decision in his last 7 starts. Justin McAfee says he doesn't want to bet the White Sox for the rest of the year on anything. Robert Franklin leaning to the under 7.5. And Mike Emma says he's got a feeling Goldschmidt goes yard tonight. So RBI and homer for Paul Goldschmidt. By the way, Moose Money talking about the 17 strikeouts by Castillo in 47 innings against the Astros, 30% K rate. Let's get this Mike M feeling on Goldschmidt copied and pasted. Rant saying Cards way better lineup. Cease is tough though. And Rant saying Cards only good pitcher. Look, I've been saying that Flaherty was going to step up for a while now, but the Cards are a very tough team to back. But I think I got to bet this first 5 under 4.5 right now. I think that the other books will see the move that Pinnacle did 12 minutes ago and change it as well. Montgomery. Oh, did we go to the cash flow? Let me just see that before I decide to pull the trigger. To do that, we have 60% of the tickets, 85% of the cash on the White Sox. We have a move to the Cardinals. And then 92% of the tickets, 73% of cash on the under. That makes me a little uncomfortable. But again, I just want that first 5. I mean, who wants this bullpen? White Sox bullpen's taxed. Cards bullpen's atrocious. 5.59 ERA since June 1st. The White Sox aren't hitting lefties, 248, 676, and they're tired. Cards are hitting righties, but I can trust Cease, I believe. Now, he didn't look great in that 7-6 loss at the A's, but he's been much better of late. And there's been times where I think he's looks, elite. I'm going to bet this first 5 under 4.5 as we speak, as Bobano breaks down his action. So, Bobano, take it away. Cardinals, White Sox, guaranteed right field in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, we have ourselves another dual strikeout prop. I like both guys. Montgomery, you see what he's doing with the K's lately? 6, 7, in most of his recent starts. This guy's getting swings and misses, and I got to believe this White Sox lineup, which couldn't hit their way out of a wet paper bag against the Toronto Blue Jays in 2 games in the traditional doubleheader yesterday, I don't trust them necessarily. Montgomery's in pretty solid form. He's pitched well on the road. He's pitched better of late. And, for this St. Louis Cardinals team, I think asking him tonight against this feeble White Sox lineup to get 6 Ks is doable. So I like over 5.5 strikeouts plus 110 at DraftKings for Jordan Montgomery. But I also like Dylan Cease to rack up the Ks here as well in this game for the Chicago White Sox. He's been pretty good in terms of getting swings and misses. Cardinals lineup hasn't been anything to write home about, even in the win against Miami to avoid the sweep yesterday. It's not like they lit it up necessarily. Still having a tough time at the plate for large stretches. By the way, St. Louis, as far as strikeouts are concerned, the last week to 2 weeks, their strikeout rate as a team has gone way up. They have been definitely K'ing a lot more and striking out a lot more, the Cardinals, as a lineup in the last couple of weeks. That doesn't bode well when you're facing this power arm that Dylan Cease has for the Chicago White Sox. So I'm on Dylan Cease as well, over 6.5 strikeouts, minus 142 at Pinnacle. So another game, Jimmy, with both pitchers to go over their K prop.
And what was Montgomery? Sorry, I was just getting that bet in.
5.5 plus 110.
Over 5.5 Ks plus 110. All right. You are in business. Cease. Oh, sorry. I got that right. Sorry. Montgomery over 5.5 Ks at plus 110. Cease over 6.5 Ks at minus 142. Billy Freer says prior to the A starts, Cease had given up a total of 5 earned runs in 3 starts versus Angels, Rangers, and Dodgers. In those 3 starts, he struck out 29 batters. Wow. BJ leaning towards the Cardinals. Dave Redling says White Sox need a complete overhaul. Trade everyone. Win a championship in 5 years.
It's averaging almost 10 Ks per start in the last, for Cease. That's why 6.5 looked a little short for him.
I think, the problem was, when Moncada got the bag, he had one good season and then he just, that's a problem. It's a problem with it's really tough. It's really tough. Like, with these young guys, look at the comparison between Julio Rodriguez and Vladdy and Bo. Vladdy and Bo are rich kids with dads that are, famous baseball players, and they don't need the bag for their family. Julio Rodriguez needs the money for his family. So he's going to have to take, possibly $200 million less than he would make if he didn't need the bag. And then all of a sudden he's got $80 million. And what happens to your edge? And my edge is even gone from getting out of Parkdale, and not fully gone, but I can feel a different edge being in a house with my family and seeing my kids play in the backyard. It's a little different than, watching the crack house behind my apartment making moves and these guys on fucking scooters. The edge goes. Yep. So, Moncada is a fucking problem, man. And he's going to come back and he's going to do nothing. And he looks out of shape. But I digress. Montgomery over 5.5 Ks, Cease over 6.5 Ks. I just moved on the Seattle Chicago White Sox under 4.5.
2 years ago, this was looking like the makings of Chicago White Sox putting together one hell of a team that was going to be good for many years. And it's just amazing how it's just totally crumbled, totally fallen apart, and totally blown up in their face. It really is amazing.
Yeah. Robert, though, keep him. Joe Yurkovich moved on the first 5 under with me. Okay, so I have a third bet on the board. Billy Freer says Robert's the only guy that cares on that team. It's been pitiful watching them roll. All right, let's roll on. Next up for us, 9:40 p.m. Eastern. We're at a spot where we have, 4 games left. I would like to have a little bit more than what I have. And from the games we've already discussed, I'm not close to moving on anything. So I've got 3 bets, and I wouldn't mind having more, but I'm not going to force it. 9:40 p.m. Eastern. Next up, the Pittsburgh Pirates, 40-47, 18-26 on the road to the Arizona Diamondbacks, 15-38, 24-23 at home, Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. One problem that I've had this year is that I have not made money with you guys on Zach Gallen. I don't know what the hell is wrong with me. His numbers at home are so phenomenal. I don't know why I've just been watching you guys all eat. 60 innings at home. He's 8-0 with a 1.50 ERA, 71 strikeouts, 9 walks, 3 homers, 203 opponents batting average. Look, I get it that they're, he's always hugely favored, and that's kind of, got me off, but fuck, money's to be made and I haven't been making it. Rich Hill on the other side, Dick Mountain. What can I say? He's my age and I cheer for him. and that gets in the way sometimes. Let's talk about the line history. We know the roof is going to be closed in Arizona. Here we go. So again, the market moves have been funny too in Gallon starts. Even though Gallon just wins and wins and wins at home, it always seems like there's sharps trying to fade them. And same thing here. There's been 15 cents of movement towards the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates, of course, coming from Chavez Ravine, and Arizona coming off losing badly to the Mets yesterday. So we have a 15-cent move. Opened up at minus 201. The initial move, now this didn't open until 8:28 this morning. The initial move was on the Diamondbacks. There was a 5-cent move in the first 8 minutes, but since then, it's been all the other direction. 20 cents of movement since that minus 206, since it hit the peak 8 minutes after it opened. So we're sitting at minus 26, 15 cents of movement towards the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's take a look at the total in this game. I've got the first 5 up. So why don't we just look at the first 5 here, because I know we will question both bullpens. The first 5 opened under 4.5 minus 108, and this thing has barely moved. It's 2 cents of movement under 4.5 minus 110 at Pinnacle. So let's go over the full game. And at full game here for Pittsburgh, Arizona, this opened up with the 8.5 at minus 111. It's now minus 112. So we've had no movement on the over, and then a legit move towards the Pittsburgh Pirates. Cash wise here, 95% of the tickets are on Arizona and 89% of the tickets. I just feel deja vu. I feel like I've been here so many times this year where I'm like, well, looks like sharp's money on Pittsburgh, but I'm not going to fake Gallon at home. So I'm going to sit back and watch my friends make money, and I'm not going to make it. Total wise, 35% of the tickets and 74% of the cash are on the under. I love those numbers if the market was moving towards the under, but this is a stagnant market on the total. So Rich Hill, what are you going to get from him? He's been quite good on the road this year, better on the road than he's been at home. 34 and a third, 3.93 ERA, 34 Ks and 34 and a third, 4 home runs allowed, 233 opponents batting average. And, he's coming off a loss at home to the Brewers, but he was good. 3 earned runs in 5 innings, 8 Ks. I mean, if you can get that, that's probably decent, from a 43-year-old Rich Hill. Zach Gallen coming off 5-2 loss at the Angels, where he didn't look very good. 7 innings, 4 earned runs. Now he had 12 strikeouts and 1 walk, so I should maybe slow down on that. He didn't look very good. Angle. Pirates versus Reds, 236.65 OPS since June 1st. Diamondbacks 267.75. Pirates bullpen bad, 5.32 ERA. We saw it in effect in the Dodgers series. And Diamondbacks bullpen doesn't look very good either. Billy Brisbane says this game screams D-backs and over. 1777 memorabilia says, want to see how Arizona responds after losing Corbin. Yes, Corbin is hurt. Markel is on the Diamondbacks on the -2 line. Rocco Rogers on Gallen to record the win at +130. Mike M says Pirates over the past 3 seasons, 3 or fewer runs last game, a dog with a total of 8.5 or 13 and 32 straight up, but 27 and 18 to the over. Wow, that surprises me. He says several seasons of solid info compiled in that tells me Arizona first 5 -0.5 is the spot. Moose Money's got Diamondbacks finished 3rd in the NL West at +550. Says he loves that bet right now. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Pirates, Diamondbacks, Chase Field, Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, this is I think this is a nice little, and if I lose, but I'm actually taking a substantial look into Arizona here. I'm going to go with the first 5 -0.5, -134 at Tony Bet. How about this? This is the first time I've used this book on this show. I only opened an account there like last week, but Tony Bet's available now in Ontario. So -0.5, -134 at Tony Bet, first 5 for Arizona. I'm also going to get in on, let me just see here. Let me see what the price is on that. I know I've already bet first 5. I'm going to go -1, -138 full game run line for Arizona as well at Pinnacle. So Arizona -1, -138 full game run line. I'm also going to go with Zach Gallen to record the win in this game at +110. So Zach Gallen to record the win +110 at DraftKings, and Zach Gallen over strikeouts over 6.5 at +105 at BetMGM. So there you go. Arizona first 5 full game split. And Zach Gallen to record a win +110. Zach Gallen over 6.5 strikeouts +105. I think this is a great situation for Arizona. Look, signs that maybe they're regressing. That was bad that they get swept at home by the Mets. But for Pittsburgh, they're coming off the Dodger series where it was a pretty back and forth type of series. Like they battled the Dodgers tough. and then they end up, losing the last game of that series, and they had an opportunity, in my opinion, to win that. So, a little bit of a tricky turnaround here for the Pittsburgh Pirates, coming off that Dodger series where they lost 3 of 4, but they were in some of those games. Now you got to play here Arizona, no day off, by the way, going into this one. Rich Hill on the road's a little shaky. That concerns me as far as he is concerned. And if you actually look at his last 4 starts, he's given up 4, 8, 13, 16 runs in his last 21 innings, which isn't great. And all Zach Gallen does at home is dominate. We know he's been absolutely terrific. Now, he did get lit up by Pittsburgh earlier this season, back in May. I mean, the Pirates actually hammered Zach Gallen in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But I think this will be a different Zach Gallen. If you look at the way he pitched against Pittsburgh last year here in Arizona, it was a shutout, I believe, in 7 innings, 8 strikeouts. He dominated this Pirates lineup last year here at Chase Field. I think it's a big bounce back spot for the team. After getting swept by the Mets, a big bounce back spot for Zach Gallen after he got roughed up by the Pirates. And we know he's been lights out here at home all year. Unbelievable. Less than 2 ERA here at home this year. So this is 4 bets on Arizona. This might be the game that makes or breaks the baseball night for me. Arizona first 5, full game split. Gallen to record the win, plus 110. Gallen over strikeouts, 6.5, plus 10. Plus, what was that? I forgot the juice now that I'm talking about it. Plus 105.
Yeah. So that, just to go over that again, the first 5 minus 134 and the minus 1 minus 138.
Yeah.
Okay. You are in business. Gallen to record the win.
Arizona's bullpen shaky, but Pittsburgh's, it was used a lot, by the way, the Pittsburgh bullpen as well in that Dodger series. They had to get a lot of innings from their bullpen, and they also kind of struggled.
Quadruple up in that one for Bobano. I'm off. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. Just 3 games left for us. And this one, another one, I almost pulled the trigger. So now on the ones that I almost pulled the trigger on, I did move on one of them. And that was the Arizona White Sox first 5 under 4.5. I wanted the Padres. I came close to betting the Padres. For whatever reason, that last start that Verlander had at home kind of got my head. But I would like to. And then look at Darvish has just not been good. I mean, they both just faced the Giants, and Verlander shut him down at home, and he's been bad on the road. And Darvish got touched. This is, I'm okay that I stayed off of this, but now I see that Ron Crawford's spreadsheet play of the day is on the Padres. Makes me think that I would feel fine if I had moved on it, but I have not moved on it. And Ron Crawford, though, has. Ron Crawford has given us a spreadsheet play today on every single show we've had this baseball season here, whether it be betting with Bouquet or the Pete Loshak show, or Loshak in the Bag, or my show. He's done every single show. He's 28 and 23, hitting at 54.9%, plus 4.68 units, ROI plus 9.18%, average line minus 103, and a big shout out to our friend Ron Crawford. Capper liking Arizona minus 1.5 and the Mets. Rand saying Darvish gets hit hard. Moose Money says Darvish coming off a case of Poseitis. Rarely talked about affliction that really affects Japanese pitchers. Not Ohtani for some reason. He's been able to stay away from the dreaded Poseitis. Let's discuss this one here. First off, let's talk about the weather in San Diego. The weather in San Diego, 66 Fahrenheit, 7.2 miles per hour left to right, slightly in, dies down to 6.4 miles per hour. Let's talk about the line. Let's see what Ballpark Pal has to say about the weather here in San Diego. And we have Petco Park minus 4% home runs, minus 11% doubles and triples, minus 5% overall. So that would help us move on the under. But the under really hasn't been bet. The over has. This opened up at 7.5 at minus 112 at Pinnacle. Moved to 8 at 10 p.m. Lasted there for 2 hours, 50 minutes before it went back to 7.5. It was at 7.5 all morning until 9:30 this morning. Since then, the over has been hit at over 8. It started at 9:30 at plus 103, being a 5-cent move to the over, minus 102. So there's a legit move to the over in this game. And I get it. I've watched these pitchers struggle at times this year, or struggle, all year. It's the money line that I came so close to betting on the Padres. So close. Minus 116 it opened at. Now it's a minus 118. There had been a move at 2 in the morning. There was a move. There was a move at 11:09 last night. And I'm literally finger on the trigger, and I just can't seem to get past what Darvish has done lately. But I'm not exaggerating. Like, my finger on the trigger to bet it, and I was like, I can't do it. There was a 10-cent move from 6:18 to 11:09 p.m. And it stayed that way. At 4:02 a.m. it was staying minus 126. Since then, it's gone back to the Mets. So at this point, we have a 2-cent move to the Padres and a half-run move to the over. Moose Money says our offense has looked way, way, way better. Xander Wrist feeling better is being noticeable. And 1777 says the battle of the billion-dollar payroll. He's right. Imagine these teams that combined 10 games under 500 with these enormous payrolls. So let's take a look at the cash here and see if it explains things. First off, 37% of the tickets and 57% of the cash on the Padres. So that starts with the explanation. That's why the market had come back. I still think there's some sharp money on the Padres, but I guess the public's coming in betting the Mets after sweeping the Diamondbacks. I think both these teams are playing their best baseball, maybe. And then from the total, 52% of the tickets and 63% of the cash on the over. So when it's all said and done, Joe Yurkovich says, doesn't Ron Crawford push you over the edge? Now that I can explain everything, I think so. Joe. So Verlander, 3-4, 3.66 ERA, 1.19 WHIP, but he's been atrocious on the road, 5.67 ERA, 287 opponent's batting average. Can you trust him? Now, he's coming off a good start at home versus the Giants, but he's been good at home. Yu Darvish, 4.84 ERA, 1.23 WHIP, 85 Ks in 80 innings, 25 walks, 10 home runs, and battling Poseidas. Last start, 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 6 Ks, 2 walks, and a 4-2 loss at the Giants. At home, he's been much better than he's been on the road. So basically, splits-wise, you have Darvish pitching where he pitches well and Verlander pitching where he pitches poorly. And you have the spreadsheet play today on San Diego. I mean, if you all put it together, I think the move should be the Padres, and I should be thankful that the move has come back because we can explain it. The public's on the Mets, and that has concerned the books a little bit. So Mets first righties, 242, 744 OPS since June 1st. Padres, 264, 780. Both bullpens have been bad. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Very curious to hear your thoughts. Mets, Padres.
I do like over, and I set 7.5. By the way, Proline Plus. I mentioned that book, the Proline Plus. Often a little disparity with them compared to others, and we've got that right now. Mets Padres over 7.5 minus 120 at Proline Plus. But I'm on the K prop for both of these guys, so it's kind of weird how I'm betting this. But I've cashed in these spots before, though, where both guys may give up runs, and yet they could still hit their K prop, and I think you could see that here. Verlander, all of a sudden, he's at 6 strikeouts in many of his multiple recent starts. He got 6 in his last start against the Padres. His number is only 5.5 going into this game. And we know there's swing and miss in this Padres lineup. So Verlander, for me, over 5.5 strikeouts in this game. You can find that at plus 105 at DraftKings. But I'm also on Yu Darvish here, over 6.5. Or no, sorry, his is 5.5 as well. 5.5 minus 110. For Yu Darvish at DraftKings. So both strikeout props here for these guys, Verlander and for Darvish here. Decent matchups. If you look at Yu Darvish, he's always been more effective at home. And his number's only 5.5, and Darvish has gone over, 5.5 strikeouts in 10 of his last 12 home starts. So I've got a pretty good sample size there. We only need 6. 10 of his last 12 home starts here at Petco Park, he's gone over 5.5 strikeouts. So that's pretty good. That's something that I'm willing to go with here for Darvish, even though we've seen him struggle the last 3 starts. And I believe in his last start against the Mets, he got 6. So, I like the strikeout props here for both of these guys going into this one.
Sorry, what was the juice on? We'll start with Verlander's 5.5.
Plus 105.
And then what was it for Darvish's 5.5?
Minus 110.
Okay, you are locked in. Londo, no, I'm not. I'd like the over. Yes, sure. I like the over now. I think that there's enough information that that the bullpens are vulnerable. I mean, you only have 52% of the tickets and 62% of the cash on the over, and we've seen a distinct move towards the over. So yeah, I think
I personally can only play the Mets, but they just destroyed, Arizona 9-0 last night, and they're traveling now. And I never love those spots, quite honestly. So, but I don't want the Padres laying a price. I'd rather have them. And the Mets are hot now. Maybe the Mets are going to get. Maybe this is the run that every Met fan and Steve Cohen, the owner, has been waiting for the Mets to go on a tear, go on a run for this, overpaid roster that we put together. Maybe they're showing signs of it now.
Can somebody? So, BJ saying that Darvish is not 100%. He said it out of his own mouth. Because I didn't know that he said he's not 100%. And we got Moose Money, who follows this team very closely. Can you add to that? Darvish saying he's not 100%. Says, oh, that was from a long time ago. Yeah, I don't. Can anybody else? Because obviously then I wouldn't be moving on him. I mean, I guess that makes sense looking at his last few starts, but I'm close to moving on the Padres, and I need to know more about that not being 100%. Because why wouldn't he take a break here if he's not 100%? He's not looked good his last 3 starts, but it was 4 starts ago at home. He was absolutely lights out. And then he had that home start in Tampa Bay, and I backed him. And that was against McClanahan, and that blew up in my face and badly blew up in my face. Moose Money says Darvish had an illness that he didn't tell anyone about. How long ago, Moose?
3.64 ERA at home for Darvish, 50 strikeouts in 42 innings for him as well. So, he's obviously, we know he's been better here. Hoping that's tonight for the strikeout prop at least.
It was last week. So was he talking in past tense, Moose? Was he saying like I had an illness? Because that would help a lot. There's Nunya in the house. Yeah, I think that there are runs here. I do. Oh, that's the Poseidus that Joe was talking about. So he's talking about okay.
These guys are known for striking out a lot of hitters, but they're also known for giving up home runs, both of them, Darvish and Verlander. So that's what I'm hoping for tonight. Lots of strikeouts, lots of home runs. That's how I go 3-0 on this game, by the way. If we get exactly a lot of strikeouts and a lot of home runs.
And you got that at 7.5. It doesn't bother me too much to be in on the 8. So I just want to see once more here the totals. Sorry, that bring up. So sorry, we're sticking on this one because this could even be a double up spot for me with the Padres. I do not trust Verlander here. And Christopher Compson said yes, he was skipped. So Petco is -5% runs, and then the bullpen is something that we can fade, probably with impunity. And that the book that you found, the 7.5, that's the only 7.5 around because there's no 7.5s that I see here on my board. So, yeah, I'm comfortable here. I think that.
So I despise the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation. I hate OLG. I hate everything about it. And I never in a million years envisioned that I'd be placing as many bets with their online ProLine Plus book as I've been. But if they're going to give me a disparity, in the line with many games and many sports compared to other books, then, I'm going to bet there. And that's why I use it. Yeah, I hate OLG, but I'll use it for that reason.
Well, I'm going to oh, of course, now I do remember when he got skipped. Okay, well, I'm going to expect that he's better now, and he's back at home, and Verlander's issues on the road will continue. I'm going to move with the spreadsheet play today on the Padres, and I'm also going to move on the on the over 8. I'm going to move on both those. So I'm going to move on the Padres and the over 8 in this spot. attacking these bullpens that are vulnerable enough, attacking these offenses that look much, much stronger. All right. So that's locked in for me and Bobano on a triple up spot. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. That's exciting. Now I got action. And this is late night West Coast action. When do I get in? So I'll be able to watch at least the second half of this. What is the GIF's ROI? Asks Joe Yurkovich, and I can give you that answer right here because I spend a long time. Well, the TJ is really good about it. Just hooking me up with the stats, but I do follow it closely. ROI is 30.3%. Now, don't forget the gift is over 2 seasons. So that's not this year. That's over 2 seasons of the gift. Gift is 22-11 over 2 seasons. I come tonight, Moose. Come tonight. And I'm really excited. And I'll reach out to all you guys too. Just being very, very busy. Let's move on to the second to last game on the board. A spot where I hope you guys faded Tony Gonsolin with my friend Brady Singer last out. And the question is, when do we stop fading Tony Gonsolin? When we don't trust the opposing pitcher? That's fair. And you cannot trust Griffin Canning. Let's talk Angels-Dodgers here at Dodger Stadium at Chavez Ravine. We'll start with the weather here first. 67 Fahrenheit, 8.5 miles per hour to right field, dies down to 6.4 miles per hour. Let's move over to Ballpark Pal and see what their thoughts are on Dodger Stadium. Plus 6% home runs, minus 8% doubles and triples, and minus 4% runs. Let's then go over to the line history here. We'll start with this total. Sorry, it's off of Pinnacle. Let me get back to Pinnacle. We have this opening up at 9, minus 112 to the under. It's not minus 110 to the under, so a 2-cent move to the over. Very, very minimal move. Then let's check out here the line history on the cash flow here, and this is a move towards the Angels. 9 cents from plus 158 to plus 147. A little different if you look at the Dodger side of things. 13 cent minus 173 to minus 160. So we have no move really on the total, but a legit move on the Angels. I will for sure, Moose. I will for sure. So let me pull up. I'm excited, man. Excited. Let's pull up the cash flow and see what that says about it. And that says here that 84% of the tickets, but just 67% of the cash are on the Dodgers. I kind of like that spot. It feels like sharp money on the Angels and sharp money fading Gonsolin. The thing is, can we trust Griffin Canning? And that's the most important question I think to answer here. That's how we solve the riddle. 72% of tickets and 68% of cash on the over, and the total's not moving. Yes, I don't need to pick up Ella. It's Summer. I can hear her outside, paying no attention to us. And Vital says, tonight you put a right-hander in Chavez Ravine versus the Dodgers, and he's going to back Gonzo. Now, then I guess we have to cut it down to not just Dodgers versus righties since June 1st. Then we have to talk about what the Dodgers are doing at home versus righties, because just against righties since June 1st, it's nothing special. The Angels are hitting righties much harder. Now, of course, Trout's not in, but was Trout really playing that well? Dodgers versus righties 257.50 since June 1st. Angels versus righties since June 1st 268.24. So then we have Griffin Canning versus Gonsolin. Canning in his last start, 6-2 loss at home versus the Diamondbacks. He was bad. He's a pitcher that I've cheer for just because of the back injury that had him out for almost 2 years. On the road, 39 2/3, 3-1, 3.63 ERA. He's been great. 240 opponents batting average, 36 Ks, 11 walks. This is a big game for him. Gonsolin has not looked good. Last start, 3 2/3, 4 earned runs, and a 9-1 loss at the Royals. He hasn't been very good at home either. 4.18 ERA. Now it's a 193 opponents batting average. So I should pull up his BABIP, and I'll do that. I'll pull up his home BABIP, and maybe that's just been some bad luck. Both bullpens have been marginal at best. Take it away for us here. Bobano, our second to last game on the board. Angels, Dodgers.
Yeah, I'm going to do a split here, and I don't know what I'm going to get out of Canning. I don't. And one thing I know about the Dodgers is they're a streaky offense. Like, they actually were struggling there for a bit, and now all of a sudden we see here this week in the series against the Pirates, they're starting to mash again. 5, 7, 6, 5. Definitely getting that offense going, and they're capable of doing that here against Canning, who we saw got lit up by Arizona. He was actually pretty decent before that, but Dodgers, when they're in good form offensively, and they do hit righties usually pretty solidly. They can put up runs. They might do that here tonight, but I do think the Angels will score as well, because I'm kind of with you in terms of I want to go against Tony Gonsolin right now. He is definitely struggling. His control's been erratic. You look at the last 3 starts, he's given up 15 runs in his last 14.1 innings, so that's not been good at all here from Gonsolin. So I think the Angels can score some runs here. Now, obviously, Trout's out long term, but they still have Ohtani, and it looks like he's going to probably be in the lineup tonight, which obviously helps moving forward. I'm going to do 2 totals bets here in this game. I'm going to go Angels team total over 3.5, minus 124 at Pinnacle. So that's LA Angels team total over 3.5, minus 124 at Pinnacle. Again, Gonsolin's given up at least 4 runs in each of his last 3 starts, and all we need is 4 from the Angels to cash this team total over for the Angels. So I'm on that, and I'm also going to split that up with the full game over. And again, ProLine Plus has an 8.5 there instead of a 9. So Angels Dodgers over 8.5, minus 125 at ProLine Plus. So there you go, 2 totals bets: Angels team total over and the full game over.
Gonsolin, I mean, they're hitting just 222 BABIP against him at home. He has no real excuse for how he's been throwing. BJ says Canning will get smoked. The question is what you're going to get from Gonsolin. I mean, look, I think this is sharp money on the Angels. And I think Gonsolin is vulnerable.
I'm tempted by the money line, but I'm just so uncertain with Canning against this lineup, which has been mashing this week, by the way, the Dodgers. Mashing. So that's why I went the team total instead.
And I get it. But I just want to fade Gonsolin.
And the Dodgers bullpen. Look, the Dodgers bullpen's you got to hold your breath when that Dodgers bullpen comes into the game, which is also why I like the full game over. Because not only do I think they can get to Gonsolin a little bit, the Dodgers bullpen's nothing to write home about right now at this point in time. So I think the Angels will score tonight, but I also think the Dodgers will. So that's why I'm on the team total for the Angels, not the money line, and I'm on the full game over too.
I just want to go batter versus pitcher here. Canning, Smith seen him once, 1 for 2, Peralta 1 for 2. Muncio for 6, JD 1 for 2, and Betts 1 for 3. I mean, I don't like those, but not much power there. Against Gonsolin, it's pretty. He's got pretty good numbers, but this just does not seem like a Gonsolin that I trust. So I wonder if it's a first 3 or a first 5 for me. I mean, that's what the decision is going to have to be made, whether it's first 3 or first 5. And at this point, the first 5 is at plus 145 for the Dodgers. So, I guess I could take a plus a half. I'll figure this out. I'm going to have a bet on the Dodgers, whether it be first 3 or first 5, and whether it be money line or plus a half. Again, I will not take a plus a half if it's anything higher than minus 115.
Over money trickling in a little bit. I'm just seeing a couple books move a little bit. Over 9 plus 100 to minus 105, minus 110. So agreeing with runs here.
And Joe's saying not to force it. I hear you. I hear you. I'll put some more time into it. I just, I guess this would be forcing it a little bit, but I feel like it's the sharp side here. And look, why would it surprise me if Canning bounced back here? I mean, I know that some in the chat think that it's Gonsolin who can bounce back, but I see there's just such a mental game, especially being on the bump, and he just feels like he doesn't have it. I mean, look at what the Royals just did to him. They just lit him up, and they're not the first to do that. And if you go back to Canning in Colorado, he shut out the Rockies. The last home start was against Seattle. You go to his spot in Houston. Look how good he's been on the road these last 3 starts. In his last 3 starts, he's had 18 innings, and he's allowed 3 earned runs. And that's against the Astros, and then, of course, the Rockies and the Royals. No, I think that it's a plus money situation that I can trust here. So but I'll spend more time on it. Let's talk about the last game on the board here as well. And talking about muddling a gold card, this could easily muddle it because I think that, and Joe saying, way closer to game time, I think there will be Dodger money. You're probably right on that. You're probably right. I might just bet that when I'm at the airport. Maybe wait. Okay. I will do that. Okay, here we go. Rockies, Giants. Now, the pitcher on the hill for the San Francisco Giants. I know the Dodger fans know him well. So do the Blue Jay fans. And something was wrong with him. Nutflush Allen talked to us about it. I still made the mistake of backing him one time when Nutflush said, mark my words, he'll be on the IL in the next 7 days. And he was on the IL in the next 7 days. Now he's come back and they're really keeping Stripling tight. They're barely, he's thrown 5 innings and two opportunities. But he's looked very good in them. And this is a perfect park for him. So I like his opportunity to shut down a Rockies lineup that doesn't hit righties, especially with any power. So I kind of like Stripling here just to get this started. Now let's discuss the spot. Rockies, Giants. Rockies is 13-31 on the road. And the Giants just 24-21 at home. Oracle Park in San Francisco, California. Let's go over to the weather first in San Francisco. 59 Fahrenheit, 19.4 miles per hour to right center. So it's very offensive, but we know this weather swirls. And I imagine that Ballpark Powell won't have Oracle Park at the top of the list. No, minus 28% home runs. So I know that the people who don't use Ballpark Powell would think, oh, what incredible offensive situation. But this is minus 1% overall. And, we know about this swirling weather. Then let's go here to the total in this one. This total, is Colorado really undecided? Do you have Gomber on your books? What do the books have here? Because some
I'm seeing undecided. I assumed initially Gomber, but now I'm not so sure.
I've got Gomber listed at Bet365. Yep. Again, this will slow us down here. Yep. But this total opened up at 8 and then moved to 8.5 pretty swiftly. This total came out at this came out at Pinnacle at 9:30 a.m. And I've got Pinnacle's book up here, don't I? So I wonder what Pinnacle is hanging here, picture-wise. I thought I had it up. Maybe I'll find it here. Let's go through this expecting Gomber here. But the cap is really on Stripling to me. But it does say undecided here on this line shopping page. Let's take a look at the money line here, which takes a little bit of the emphasis away from it, knowing that it might not be Gomber, or maybe So Stripling here at Pinnacle opened up at minus 137, and it's now minus 157. I think Stripling looks good here. I really do. There's our guy Sean Pulliam in the house. I really think that Stripling pitches well. And I think this is, probably, it's minus 160 here. And the first five is minus 155. Okay. So then let's take a look at the cash flow. And again, this isn't going to help us too much because, again, this game could easily this pitching battle could not be who we think it is. But 88% of the tickets, 86% of the cash on the Giants. Market moving briskly towards them. 98% of the tickets, 99% cash on the over. I don't know if that makes real sense to me here, but I guess people seeing the 20 mile per hour wins goes from 8.5 to 9. JPZ says Giants will win today. Just got to figure out how to cash on it. Gomber Stripling. Gomber 6-7, 6.64 ERA, 1.56 WHIP. His last start, 7 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 of which were in, 7 Ks, 1 walk, and 8.5 win at home versus the Tigers. On the road, he's been much better than he's been at home. On the road, 4.93 ERA, 27 Ks, 14 walks, 7 homers, 259 batting average. So here, if it is Gomber, there's only one thing that we need to know, and that is what is the lineup for the San Francisco Giants? And do the San Francisco Giants have lefties? Because Gomber's numbers against lefties are absolutely ludicrous. And if you think traditionally it's the righties that would be smashing Gomber, that is not the case. Lefties are destroying him. Lefties are hitting 388 with a 1.201 OPS. We talk about what lefties are doing to Lance Lynn. This is much worse. So let's just see what the expected lineup, if it is going to be Gomber. Let's see who they have. They have a RotoWire's Gomber. So the Giants would then have Yastrzemski, Wisely, and Crawford with Bailey switch hitting. Maybe that's not enough, man. Maybe that's not enough. Piker on Giants -1. Joe Yurkovich says a manager would never cater to reverse splits. That's fair. And Piker says Giants, I say 3 times. So Stripling, I think, is going to show why he signed the big contract here. Now he's healthy. I think he's going to be better. I don't think he's going to go deep. The Rockies bullpen atrocious. Giants bullpen pitching very well. Take it away for us here, Bobano, our final game on the board, Rockies Giants.
Yeah, it's a pass for me. I'm not involved in this one, other than to say that, be careful fading Gomber right now because he's pitched better lately. And look at the Rockies, believe it or not, are 9-4 in his last 13 starts. It's pretty wild. 9-4 they are in Gomber's last 13 starts. So I don't know. It's not an automatic here. I'm with you, and I think there's going to be better from Ross Stripling, moving forward than what we've seen so far. He's getting healthy. Remember what he did in Toronto. He pitched extremely effectively for them. There was a time he was the best pitcher for them for a stretch with the Blue Jays. So definitely think he's got the potential to pitch a little bit better. Giants offense is really starting to scuffle a little bit. You look at that Seattle series, and you really didn't exactly see the Giants smash the baseball in that particular series. Just 2 runs in the last 2 games combined. In fact, they've lost 4 of their last 5 games, and in those 5 games combined, 5, 7, 11, just 12 runs, in the last 5 games. So a little over 2 runs per game. So this is definitely a lineup that's hit a little bit of a cold streak here lately for the San Francisco Giants. So this could actually be a sneaky under. You mentioned that Gomber's been better on the road than at home. He's been a little bit better lately. It's just too rich of a price for me to back Stripling and back a lineup that's kind of hit a cold spell lately as well. So the lean was Giants, but I'm going to leave it alone.
And why has Gomber not pitched since last Friday?
Yeah, extra rest for him. Yep.
But why?
Why? Yeah.
Something's up.
Yeah.
Something is up.
He must be battling something too, because why haven't they even confirmed him tonight? I'm seeing unconfirmed still at several books, so that makes it tricky. He's probably got some minor ailment. You got to believe it, because he's also, some books don't even have him listed as the starting pitcher yet. Some odds screens don't either. So they're very hesitant to put him in there.
Billy Friedrich thinking it might be the HIV.
Yeah.
Might be. Tori, I'm off tonight's CFL game. My back can't take it. I just can't take it. I can't take it. That's as angry as I've been in a long time. I just couldn't. But angry and I felt terrible. Even seeing JPZ in the chat, I just feel like, fuck, I screwed my friend over. I had friends believe in me in that over, and that
was such a horrible game for it only got good at the very end, but only because it was close and it was a dramatic finish. For 3 3/4, that was 3 quarters and 3/4 of the fourth quarter. That was a horrendous CFL football game. I wouldn't tell anyone to watch that on replay.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. You know what I think I should do is I think I should bet the Giants action. I think I should bet the Giants action, because if it's not Gomber, it's going to be someone worse.
Yeah,
it's going to be one of their bullpen guys or someone. So I think that'll be my first action bet of the year. All right, let's review all action here. Bobano, spectacular job. It's a marathon show. So much on the line here to succeed, and thank you for being just so gracious with your time with us. Bobano's on the Stampeders +8 in the over 46.5 tonight. I'm going to pretend that Canadian football doesn't exist until tomorrow. Bobano's on the Tiger Cats in the over 44. I'm going to be on the Tiger Cats first half and full game, but I'm going to be patient here. Line keeps moving towards Ottawa. Then I'm quadrupling up in Vancouver on Sunday. First half full game for the Lions. Full game under in Al's team total under. Bobano is on the Lions -7 in that spot. Then in MLB, Spenny Pennybombs is on Ozuna Homer at +425 in RBI. Justin McElvey's on the Braves team total over 4.5. Ricky Bobby is on the Glasnow under 17.5 outs. Bobano is on Glasnow over 7.5 strikeouts. And Charlie Morton over 6.5 strikeouts. Here we go. JPZ is. Fuck. The Phillies -1. I don't think I'm going to. I'm in a hum and haw over it. I don't know. Bobano's on the Alcantara over 5.5 Ks. Wheeler over 6.5 Ks. Tone Miggins levels play today is Phillies -124. I might move on it. Then Tigers, Jays. Spending penny bombs on Varsho, RBI, and Homer. DJ $100,000 on the first 5 under 5. Bobano is on Manoa over 4.5 Ks, and TJ gave us the gift and it's Tigers money line. Then Mike M likes the Nerfy in Chicago Cubs, New York Yankees. Spending penny bombs is on Rizzo, Homer, and RBI. Bobano's on Rodon over 6.5 Ks and Tyon over 2.5 earned runs. I'm off that one. Bobano's on the over 10 in Rangers Nationals. He's on the Guardians -1, -122. He's on the under 10.5 in Oakland Boston. Bobano is on the over 3.5 earned runs. Medina over 2.5 walks. And Justin McElvey so confident in the Devers RBI, he says that he will drop a $50 dono tomorrow on Jose's show if that doesn't cash. Billy Brisbane came in and gave us this NBA Summer League play today. Toronto Raptors money line -118. Orioles Twins, we stayed off. 8:10 p.m. Reds Brewers, my first action. Thank God I doubled up on this last night. I'm on the first 3 under 2.5 at -130, and the first 5 under 4.5 at -120. Bobana's on the Reds first 5 in full game +115, 105 respectively. Abbott over 7.5 Ks at +118. Corbin Burns over 6.5 Ks at -140. Corbin Burns over 6.5 Ks is Lamont's max bet. Max bet for Lamont Williams. Bobano's on Castillo over 5.5 Ks -122. Hunter Brown over 5.5 Ks -150. Rocco Rogers also on the Hunter. What Rocco Rogers did is he combined Brown's Ks and Gallon's Ks and dropped them. Brown at 6, Gallon at 4 at -116. The trilogy stat of the day is the Astros are 21-1 since 2021 as a -114 or higher favorite coming off a 4-run loss with no rest. Astros -1 is for our guy LJ from H-Town. Mike M's ribeye play today. Kyle Tucker at +190. Bobano's on Montgomery over 5.5 Ks and Cease over 6.5 Ks. Mike M has a feeling Goldschmidt goes yard nights, RBI and Homer, and I moved on the first 5 under 4.5. And I bet that during the show. Pinnacle made a big move while we were talking about it, and I just thought that all the books will follow suit. We'll check. I'll check after if that made sense and worked for me. Bobano's on the Diamondbacks first 5 -0.5 and full game -1. Gallon to record the win and Gallon over 6.5 Ks. The win at +110, Ks at +105. Bobano's on the Mets Padres over 7.5 at -120. Verlander over 5.5 Ks. Darvish over 5.5 Ks. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today is the Padres, and I moved am going to move on the Padres and the over 8. Then I'm going to move on Canning and the vulnerability of Gonsolin. First 3 or first 5 at plus money. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle it. I'll do it after the show. Bobano's on the Angels team total over 3.5 -124, and the full game over 8.5 -125. And then I think I make the Giants a -1 in action bet right now. I think I'm going to do that and trusting Stripling here. And then, of course, the bullpen against the Rockies bullpen. That is our show for today. Thank you all that ran with us for this long show. It means a ton to us, an absolute ton to us. And Pimp Slap play today is the Jays under 9.5. Wow. Look at that. I can't wait to see Jose and Bobano's action in that one. Wow. Let's get that one here locked in for this one. Where is it? Right here. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us, Mike and my man. That is our show for today. Thank you all for supporting it. And thank you to our guest, Bobano, Joey Marinaccio, Joe Yurkovich, Real Deal Prime, Moose Money, BJ, Rance, Andrew G, Jay Peasy, Nate Dogg, Londo, Rem Most, Piker, Tori Coker, Billy Friedrich, LJ from H-Town, Johnny K, Sean Pulliam, Rance, Markel, 1777 Memorabilia, AYO-D, Alfred 44, Sterling Gentry Jr., Vitalis, all of you guys. Thank you so much. I Get Money, Robert Franklin. Good to see you, my man. Respect. All you guys, thank you for running with us. We have absolutely no show without you, and we really mean that. Hipster Jesus, Cuban Wayne Gretzky, Piker, Moose, All you guys. Thank you.
We don't have another 3 hours for that, Joey Yurkovich. So no, we won't go over the action again. Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Bobano, can you please, and thank you to our producer Jose, who works tirelessly behind the scenes for Pub Sports Radio. Bobano, my man, thank you, and Von Polo, of course. Bobano, thank you for your hard work. Can you please bless our action and leche us into the future?
Absolutely, Jimmy. I think this is the longest show that I've done with you on a Friday, 3.5 hours. I know I've not been on this long, but it's one of those days I'm pretty much home all day, so I had the time. So great stuff, great show. Always good to be with you, Jimmy. Good luck. Bounce back Friday. Let's get it. And everyone in the chat as well. Let's get the money. Let's have a great weekend as well. Let's get a tie-cap victory finally this weekend too. I'd love that tomorrow night. Let's go. Great times. I'll be back in 2 weeks again on a Friday. It'll be July 21st. Looking forward to it. Let's cash. Leche and los bookmakers.